Okay. Got that confirmation? Oh. Periscope's on. Twitch is on. YouTube's on. But you Mixer, usually the first to go up. No, kitty. Get off the microphone table, please. That's not gonna work. Oh no. Oh no. You like what I titled the episode? You've seen it?
Let's see, I haven't seen that. No, I haven't seen it. Where is it?
Shortcut to the G1 Slammiversary.
Oh, nice.
It's not connecting on Mixer, but that's... Well, it says it connected, so that's all I care about. Okay. It's all set. Ready?
Okay, just let me know when.
You got Audacity up and everything?
Yeah, everything's ready to go.
Cool.
I just gotta hit record.
3, 2, 1, go. And welcome to the Red Leaf Retrocast. This is Wrestlecast episode 9 in the beginning of June. Or no, I'm sorry, August 2018. Oh boy, I'm 2 months off. It has been a long day. How you doing, Red?
Summer. I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. I know I wasn't able to make the last episode due to personal reasons, but definitely Red Zero's back on the Red Leaf Wrestlecast, so pretty excited what we have in store for our audience.
Yeah, the end of July saw us witness quite a few things and important events happen in wrestling. Namely, we'll be going over the end of July events. So Impact Wrestling had Slammiversary 16. All Japan Wrestling had the Summer Action Series come to a conclusion. Beginning of August here had Shortcut to the Top pay-per-view by WXW. They're back from their summer hiatus. You know, that's my favorite.
Hell yeah.
Then Ring of Honor had a little event where the NWA title was defended. We'll just kind of mention that earlier or later. And then the G1 in New Japan has been happening, and we're covering all the way from day 1 until up to the last 4 days of the event. So right when the crux of the climax, you might say, of the G1 comes to a conclusion. So that'll be saved for the next episode, how it ends. Oh, yeah. I figured the way we're gonna, and I'll mention this later in the cast again, the way we're gonna go about this G1 here, since there's so much to break down, and we're kind of going through a best of series. I've actually marked down kind of a top 5 matches that's worth checking out.
Oh, really cool. And
then some of the stories that's been going on during the G1. WWE got some just some basic talk. We're gonna do WWE a little bit differently since there's no pay-per-view to cover, and naturally we'll finish up with WCW Thunder. We're covering episode 5, and I got a good story for you, that one. But yeah, a little intro here. I think I'll save for our non-live viewers who our wrestler spotlight is for this episode. So if you've joined us in the past, we always have a retired wrestler overview where we pick 2 matches and we just talk about the wrestler and review those 2 matches essentially. But
excited for this one.
Intro indeed. I went, Rad, to Progress Wrestling Boston on their Coast to Coast tour. They are traveling the United States, and I was lucky enough to attend Progress Wrestling in Boston. Nice little event there.
Yeah, excited to hear if you have any stories for us.
Oh my God! Well, if you remember Evolve, when I went to that event, the fucking fire alarm went off. I got to talk to Walter, my man, my new best friend, obviously.
Is he following you yet?
No WXW wrestlers actually following me, but WXW and the commissioner is.
That's good enough.
So it's good enough for me.
Yeah.
They go on and off for following me. I don't know why. I guess because I put out spoilers of their shit, and I don't know. I don't follow them because of the same reason.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I hit my mic, but okay. But yeah, I went to Progress Wrestling. I got to meet a bunch of the Progress Wrestling stars. I didn't go to the Evolve event. They were doing a back-to-back thing. I saw the card, and I just wasn't into spending the money for it.
Nothing spectacular, I guess.
No, well, yeah, the way they had it booked was I was contemplating. I was like, okay, if there's more than a couple matches I want to see, then I'll go. But unfortunately, Matt Riddle's pretty much signed by WWE, so they were in, I believe, Philadelphia, along with Progress. They're doing they're following each other on this tour, and we'll be discussing Evolve 108 and 9 in the next cast, based on time and availability. But the crux went down was Philadelphia. Everything happened. And then when they got to Boston, Evolve had basically nothing to show. Except the main event was Joey Janela defending his title against a guy I didn't care about. But again, we'll definitely get into that in the next episode, in episode 10.
Right.
So, but in this one, just to quickly go over, because I want to cover the whole tour on Progress Wrestling, and by that time I'll have watched a couple chapters as well. But my experience was fantastic. I mean, I didn't sit front row this time. But
okay, where were you sitting more or less?
I was sitting to, yes. I mean, there's only 2 levels to it, so your general seat. I mean, you're right there. Anyways, if you go check out my Twitter or Instagram, I put up some videos and pictures of the event. It was super fun. They made it clear that we can't swear in this venue this time, so the crowd, the crowd was we're kind of censoring ourselves. So for example, when Zach Gibson got the mic, as he does, we all boo him heavily, and we were just going, shut up.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so we're doing things like that. Because of the previous wrestling events that are there, people were being slobs, so they couldn't just give us beer cans. They had to pour them in red cups, so naturally everyone was spilling shit everywhere instead. So I'm like, oh yeah, that's much better than picking up beer cans. But apparently the people that work at the venue aren't allowed to pick up beer cans. I guess it's because they employ people under 21. That was my assumption.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah. But great event. At one point, the wrestling boards came loose, and they had an intermission to fix the boards underneath the ring.
Oh, wow. So they had to actually take time to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Beyond Wrestling had their American Rana pay-per-view, but really that was just a bunch of filler matches, all for the main event, which was a barbed wire match of Joey Janela against David Starr, who's the star of Beyond Wrestling. Apparently that match wasn't all that great, but it was bloody and pretty crazy. That was according to everybody I met at the Progress show, because most of the people also went to that American Rana pay-per-view. I don't plan on watching that. I don't know, Rad. Are you a fan of like barbed wire deathmatch type stuff?
No, I can't say that I am. I've never really been into hardcore wrestling that much. It just depends on I guess who's headlining the match, so to speak. Probably the most that I've ever maybe checked out was back when they had Frontier Martial Arts wrestling in Japan in the late 90s. But it was more just because of the shock value. Like, I couldn't believe what I was watching. But other than that, I agree with you. I'm more traditional style, one-on-one, not, barbed wire bats and, explosions in the cage and whatnot. But I guess it makes for great TV if it is broadcasted.
Yeah, I mean, Beyond Wrestling has they're on Powerbomb TV. You can get like a 20-day free trial of their stuff. So, if that kind of... It's a much smaller... Is it on the same level as the Evolve? Talent-wise, no. Production-wise, it's probably the same. And hell, fucking WWE wants to buy up most of Evolve's talent anyways. They already got Matt Riddle. They're looking at Shane Strickland now, who just won the title from Matt Riddle. Be going, when I see that match, apparently it was good. Haven't seen it yet.
I'm telling you, it's like the unofficial, official breeding ground for NXT talent, Like they haven't really officially stated that, but it seems to be the case.
Oh yeah, like Gargano, Ciampa
Yeah.
was there, Riddle's there, so yeah, there's quite a man. I think even Drew Gulak wrestled there quite a bit, but Gulak was more of a Dragon Gate guy, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's where people remember him from. Anyway.
Yeah. And speaking of that, but yeah, the wrestlers I met, I spoke to Jimmy Havoc and Mark Haskins for a good 20-30 minutes before the show.
Oh, man, that's so
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I was saying that I remembered specifically Haskins when he was, let's call it a young lion, when he was in WXW, when I went to a house show there when I was in college. And he's like, whoa, really? And I was like, yeah. And I did end up finding a couple pictures from that, and I was like, this is you, right? And he goes, yeah, oh my god, I'm so young. I was like, fuck. It wasn't until I started watching WXW when they started releasing their old 2008 and 9 stuff. I was like, oh my god, this was WXW. And I just totally wasn't sure what I watched way back then in my college days.
Like if you've been into it even before you knew it.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was, and obviously, you know, a promotion that's just that small and starting out, I was like, I'll go to it. I was, you know, 20 years old in college. You know, that's 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, wow, crazy that. So I talked to Haskins for a while, Havoc, both really nice guys. Like, holy crap, they're nothing like their characters in wrestling. Let's see, who else did I meet? I met Pete Dunne and Trent Seven. Just a hound of people around him all the time. I got 2 words in where I was like, hey, you know, I like your work. You guys are great. And he's like, oh, thank you, mate. No problem. And I spoke to Flash Morgan Webster for a little bit as well. He was high as fuck. He was this event's Matt Riddle, you might say.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think you might have mentioned that in the chat, if I'm not mistaken.
I was like,
wow. The same guy, but yeah, that's crazy.
I was like, wow, like he had a hard time holding a conversation. I was like, hey man, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, I don't know, man.
Man, it's like wrestling in the 80s all over again.
Yeah, except instead of cocaine, it's just weed.
Yeah, they're all chill these days.
Yeah. I ran into Joey Janela again. He's a cool guy. He's real chill. I got to talk to Austin Theory this time. I was telling him, hey man, I see big things at him. He's like, that means a lot. Dude's just tall and jacked. And I took a real funny picture with Drake and Zach Gibson after their match. That was when there was an intermission to fix the boards. I got to talk to them for a good 10 minutes in the intermission. They were sweaty. You see me where I'm just a good third of their size.
Yeah, I think I saw that photo. It's the same, obviously the same night when you're wearing the villain tee, right?
Yeah, I was wearing I was wearing my Marty Skrull shirt.
Yeah,
because he cool, you know, picture. he was from Progress, so I was like, I'm gonna wear my villain shirt today. I was very tempted to wear my Lista Indeconables to Jericho.
You should have, man.
But I was like, villain. It's a British show. So
yeah.
But yeah, everyone was super chill. The wrestlers were good matches. Best match by far was the Matt Riddle Tyler Bate match, and I'll say it again, I don't like watching Matt Riddle's matches on TV, but fucking A, he can put on a show live.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I saw, let's see, I think both kicked out of their finishers at least once, high impact moves at least twice. Just off the top of my head. Yeah. It was pretty ridiculous. But yeah, great event, super fun. Highly recommend do it. I'm going to a couple more events coming up here. There's an all-women's pay-per-view through Beyond Wrestling.
That one's going to be awesome.
At the end of the month, I think Santana Garrett, Eva Lise is going to be there, I think.
Oh, you lucky bastard, dude.
I think she is. Don't quote me on that one, but definitely Santana Garrett's like heavily advertised for this event.
Yeah, I guess she's like the star since right now she's like the champion of aren't they? Didn't they bring back WoW wrestling? I think so. She's like definitely like the face of a lot of all women's promotions right now.
Yeah. So I'll be seeing an all women's promotion before anyone sees the evolution from WWE.
Yes, I agree.
And then Beyond Wrestling is having a kind of a free come to this event through charity, and it's going to be a major event for them. So since it's free, I'm like, okay, this is a good chance for me to check out Beyond Wrestling in person. And that's in September. So cool stuff. Much more wrestling to talk about. East Coast is just prime for it, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think all the promotions you've been exposed to as of late just shows that you're like in a hotbed, a really cool area that showcases different independent promotions and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're willing to drive to them, I think my own personal rule is why if it's within a couple hour drive, I'm going to it.
That's cool. I need to start doing that in my area, but usually here in Texas, I think like the biggest independent promotion is probably Wrestle Circus. So I definitely have to check that out one of these days.
Yeah,
but
as big
man.
Names going down there these days.
No, not anymore, because obviously they're being picked up by other promotions, including WWE. But last year, oh man, they were killing it. They were nothing but stacked cards. So I kind of regret not showing up to at least one.
Yeah, if you have the opportunity, whether you're in Germany, WXW is doing a shotgun tour. Definitely go check that out. If you're in the UK, I believe it's not Progress and RPW, Revolution Pro, because they generally do like a once a month thing. They don't really have, and it's usually out of the same venues all the time. I want to say IPW. I want to say that's one that has events more often. But yeah, definitely go support indie wrestling as much as you can. They're super fun to go to and cheap, and I mean, you can't beat like front row tickets for $10 to $20. Let's face it. And I guarantee you'll have more fun than at a WWE event.
Definitely.
Well, these days, anyways. So, one other topic I want to talk about is I don't want to go into the events, so to say, because they're not very good right now. Is the World of Sport Wrestling has returned to the UK. Very successful broadcast. It had like 2 million viewers or something plus in just their first episode. Then it went down a little bit in episode 2 when Kaylee Ray won the women's title there. So good for her. But was it a successful start? Have you seen any of the World of Sport Wrestling?
No.
First couple episodes?
I've maybe caught up with it with updates being promoted on social media, for example, who won the championship and whatnot, but I didn't actually watch an episode. Yeah,
so the episodes are only about 40 minutes to an hour, so same thing as any other weekly show, right? That's not WWE. And I'm very mixed because the wrestlers involved are good. You have Will Ospreay in episode 1. Rampage Brown is there. You have a lot of guys from Defiant and Progress that aren't signed by WWE. Guys from ICW. The list goes on. They have the talent, but the production is very questionable. And what I mean by this is they don't know their audience. It looks like you're watching a game show, not a wrestling show.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So anytime like the slightest move is hit that's any sort of impactful, it immediately cuts to a replay in this like sepia thing. Like it was from 20 years ago, but you just saw it on TV.
Yeah, it's a little too much.
It's very jarring. Every time there's a move, there was a replay, and then there's no like introduction to the wrestlers or who they are, because let's face it, a lot of these people on World of Sport Wrestling are watching these wrestlers for the first time. Not everyone's hardcore indie fans like say me or yourself, Rad, who keep up with the stuff.
Sure.
So they just go, here's Grado, and they're saying questionable things on commentary, like Grado is bigger than British wrestling at this point. I'm like, in what fucking world is that true?
Yeah, it's similar to Tony Schiavone always saying every Monday Nitro is the greatest event in the history of their sport. I guess it's just something they're just used to saying, and I guess it does definitely have that game show vibe that as you described.
Yeah, it's no introduction to the wrestlers, the characters. The The booking is quite questionable at all, or the booking is questionable.
It sounds like if it's casually produced, and by that I mean probably, the people that put this show together, possibly not even part of the business, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it. I'm very mixed on it because I want to like the show. It has big things. The money's definitely invested into it. Just everything else just isn't all that great. Like they had Davey Boy Smith Jr. and they really primed him on British Bulldog Jr. like that name, and they had him winning against Will Ospreay, and they didn't really introduce Will Ospreay as this dude from New Japan or he's the best. Call him a junior heavyweight. Yeah. Heavy missed opportunities there. You have no idea why, like, Martin Kirby turned heel in the very first tag match with Joe Hendry. Very, very weird stuff happening. Yeah, so I'm pretty worried for World of Sport Wrestling at this point. Very worried.
Hopefully it's only something just because they're starting out. Maybe as more and more episodes are released or they start producing more shows, maybe it'll be different, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's definitely a wait and see. So I'm just gonna keep my eye on it for a little couple weeks, just like Major League Wrestling (MLW) in the States that's going on here now. Yeah. The wrestlers are involved, but the booking and what they're doing is still pretty questionable, and they're just starting out. So let's give them time, but the worry is there on both of them. World of Sport's very much more so because of how much money's involved in it. Clearly,
right.
So with that, why don't we get into our wrestler spotlight? What do you say, Red?
Oh, I'm definitely down for that.
Alrighty, let me play, obviously, the best drop ever.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
Okay, well, Rad, why don't you take this away?
Awesome. So our spotlight for today's episode is the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, definitely. I even think people that don't watch wrestling know exactly who he is because obviously he came out on a lot of Slim Jim commercials, snap into a Slim Jim. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, man, it doesn't get any more iconic than the Macho Man Randy Savage. Quite possibly one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. JD, both you and I grew up watching this guy. Awesome wrestler. He's definitely in my top 5. Just never could get enough of him. He was incredible performer in the ring, possibly the best on the mic. He just had it. The charisma, the catchphrases, the voice. He was the complete package. And unfortunately, he passed away several years back, but that's what today's episode is all about, is putting a spotlight on this former wrestler to pay tribute to him. And we chose 2 incredible matches, and we tried to stay away from probably matches that people think of all the time, which I'm totally on board with that. And the first match that we were going to discuss, which you recommended, I had never seen before until just recently, was versus Jerry Lawler and what was the promotion's name?
Mid-South Wrestling.
Mid-South Wrestling, that's right. That took place on June 3rd, back in 1985, obviously before Macho Man's WWF run.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let you take it away, but a quick thought on that match. I thought it was incredible. I wasn't expecting that, especially from the time that this match took place. Going into this, I was not expecting Macho Man to play the heel, but obviously he was the heel. I'm guessing this was in Jerry Lawler's hometown, or am I wrong?
It was in Memphis, Tennessee, I believe.
Memphis,
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, it definitely makes sense. But yeah, incredible brawl between these 2 guys. They went back and forth, and I think they really had a lot of chemistry in the ring. So I'll let you touch base on that a little bit, JD.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So for those that aren't familiar with what Mid-South Wrestling was, it was, let's call it the Jerry Lawler promotion. He kind of ran it, let's say. He was the guy.
Right.
And that's where this is
the company.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is also where Macho Man Randy Savage got his start. And coincidentally enough, before he was into wrestling, he was a minor league baseball player for the Cincinnati Reds, I believe.
Yes.
Or the St. Louis Cardinals, one of those 2. And then he got, his baseball career was okay, but it wasn't. It seemingly wasn't quite going in the direction I guess he was hoping. So then he got into wrestling, and I believe this was the promotion that trained him and put him up, and he just immediately took off into the main title picture. And this match here was for the Mid-South title with and they had a couple matches prior to this steel cage match, which is highly recommended as well, with against Jerry Lawler. Macho Man getting really pissed off, and it ended up by the time WWF got word of wanting to buy up major talent on the indies, see a pattern here. They got Macho Man before Lawler, and that led to a loser leaves the promotion match for the title, and with their history, led to just this brawl essentially, but it started out as a heel versus face, Lawler wanting Macho Man to prove that he can beat him in the center of the ring, 1, 2, 3, which played into later, and I think this is great booking for a small promotion when they have someone leave. It's simple, it gets to the point. I think Evolve really missed. Let's take Keith Lee leaving or Matt Riddle leaving Evolve, especially with the title on the line. I think that's what should have been. Like, Shane Strickland gets into Matt Riddle's basket and is like, not only do I want the title, I want a loser leaves promotion type thing. You're out of town kind of deal.
Yeah, it's like, make it mean something.
Make it mean something even more, or and that's what they did here, like hard, and the crowd fell for it. Like,
oh yeah, and
bell to bell.
I wasn't even aware of the story going in, but the story that they told with the performance in the ring, definitely explained that.
Yeah, when I was researching a little bit of Savage in his past, if you go before WWF, it was quite fascinating. The history behind the guy, and him and Lawler just. Man, I definitely put, after watching this match, I definitely put the feud with Lawler as one of his top feuds in his career. Not, you think Warrior or Hogan. No one ever thinks Lawler. Yeah, I didn't think Lawler until I saw this Mid-South Wrestling feud, and so it starts out pretty slow. They're feeling each other out as one does. And then the Savage heel run starts kicking in, and biting the head, poking the eyes, throwing Lawler into tables, and the big thing happens about 23 or so minutes in, where Macho Man throws Lawler into the timekeeper's booth, and Lawler's eye gets cut.
Oh yeah,
and that's when they start playing. Yeah, that's when they start playing up this kind of boxing angle to it. It's like, oh no, the ref's checking on him. He's losing too much. He's gonna lose the eye. Commentary was going pretty good there as well, and Macho Man's just doing all he can to make the wound open up more, and it just goes into that where it finally ends. About 25 minutes in, and Lawler goes, no, we're not letting the match end through blood loss or having that. You got to prove to me, Macho Man, that you can beat me in the ring. 1, 2, 3. Match continues. Lawler hulks up, Hulkamania style.
Yeah.
Which I got a kick out of, because it was he just punched up a few times, does his fist from the middle rope to the head, and pile driver over. Just bang. Clean win. The ending has to me a lot to be desired. I never liked hulking up, but hey, it was the 80s, so it's it works for that time. It wouldn't work in 2018, but it sure as shit worked in 1985.
Days before the internet.
Yeah. This is when people pretty much thought it was still real.
yeah, I think that's why it worked.
Yeah. But yeah, I like the match. For sure. I think
yeah, it was a good one, JD. Like I said, I had never seen this match before, and I wasn't expecting much from it going in, and I really enjoyed it, and I think the story that was told, I would have never thought that Macho Man and Jerry Lawler would have chemistry, but in this match they did, and it showed.
Yeah. And I'm always a fan of matches going over 20 minutes. I think that's like the magic number for a match to be
It becomes epic after 20 minutes.
Right. There's just that feeling, and the wrestlers really kick it up a notch. They were able to tell an in-ring story long enough. To me, that's what a lot of, let's call it WWE matches, are lacking today. You notice that about New Japan and the indie scenes? They always seem to go 20+ minutes to an epic finish. You know, just the one or two more moves, and this one sure had it. In this case, it was you got to beat me 1, 2, 3, and yeah. So let's get on to the next match.
Yeah. So the next match was my pick. Just as you, JD, I'm a huge WCW fan, and immediately the first feud that came into my mind was Diamond Dallas Page. If not for the companies going at it every Monday night, WCW and NWO, I think probably feud of the year would definitely go to Macho Man and DDP. Man, these guys really drew shades of gray. You couldn't tell what was real, what was choreographed. You know, it was just an amazing feud. I was a big fan of it. And I would say the culmination was, you know what? They might have had several matches after that, if I'm not mistaken. But this was the iconic
They did,
match
and
to
I
watch.
actually mixed this match up with a couple more that came later.
Oh, freaking A! Okay, well, definitely touch base on those.
Well, I mean, I just mixed it up. I didn't quite remember this match. I just remember, and there's a reason for that later. But yeah, shit, I was how old when I saw this?
Probably 9 or 10.
Let's see. I was 9 years old. Yeah, so that explains why I'm like, okay, I mixed up like 4 years.
No worries, but you know, definitely this was a match to check out, and it was their it was the grudge match that they had at the Great American Bash 1997. So it was a no DQ, false count anywhere type of match, and man, these two really went at it. It was awesome. You know, the typical back and forth. You know, you had moves going on at the outside. Kimberly Page and Miss Elizabeth were at ringside, so that was a nice touch to the match itself, as they even got the women involved in this rivalry. You know, obviously Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth picked on Kimberly quite a bit, so it really got personal, and DDP, you know, had enough of it. So this was a grudge match, and again, this wasn't even like a world title match or anything like that, and it was in the main event. So yeah, I mean, I just remember watching it, and it was just a very exciting match. You know, they I guess the theme of the show, since it was a Great American Bash, was like a, you know, July 4th type of thing, you know, cookout, and
they
ended up like in a picnic area. You know, they had like
love that part.
Barbecue pit. Yeah, I think DDP slammed like a grill on Macho Man's head. It was hilarious.
Yeah,
but...
he threw a grill at him, and even body slammed him through like a miniature picnic table. Yeah, it was super funny.
Yeah, it was.
I actually had to look up who Kimberly was because I didn't remember her at all.
No way, you're kidding.
No, I didn't remember her. And then as soon as commentary goes, lead Nitro Girl, I'm like, oh, okay. Now I remember. Yeah. Dude, Rad, I was 9 years old. I wasn't paying attention to that shit.
Yeah, that's true. You know, I was already 13, so Kimberly was like, you know, the crush of the show. So.
Yeah. But yeah, she was a Playboy Playmate of the 90s, DDP's then wife. So I was like, oh, okay, now everything's kind of coming back to me. I was like, okay. It wasn't until commentary said lead Nitro Girl. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, now all right. But yeah, just a straight brawl. This if I was to compare this match to something today, it would be the Gargano Ciampa non-sanctioned match that we saw.
Oh, I like that comparison. Yeah.
Saw this year. I saw so many comparisons to it in storytelling, and the only thing missing was Candice LeRae and Ciampa having his own girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been so cool. And I'm glad you brought that up, because one thing about that recent rivalry between those two guys is it reminded me of old school WCW TV. And I think secretly down in my mind, I had Macho Man and DDP in mind.
Yeah, it's very possible. The other thing was the refs getting beaten up by Savage, just going crazy.
Oh yeah, that was awesome, man.
Even did a pile driver on the ref, and then immediately goes after Kimberly.
Nuts. Macho Madness.
Yeah, I love Macho Madness. It's Macho fucking Madness. He didn't say fuck, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment was actually when Macho Man just randomly beat up the camera guy and started beating him with his own camera. I was like, whoa! I'm pretty sure that guy didn't see that coming.
Oh man, even the commentators like Tony Schiavone was like freaking out, and
he's like, I don't know, that wasn't part of the script. What the hell?
Yeah, it's like they totally break the fourth wall, and you, the viewer, are watching. You're like, holy crap, this crap is real. You know, it's like
it sure made it feel really like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what made the Gargano Ciampa match so comparable. Was they were able to tell a story mixing in with taking the ring off of Johnny and spitting on it and making putting real life into wrestling, and that this match definitely had that with DDP and Macho Man. And I'm saying this right now, Red. Macho Man as a heel is better.
I kind of agree. It just depends who he was facing, but I really dug Macho Man as a heel, especially when he was in his rebellious phase of the NWO.
Yeah, and now that I think about it, the only time I can only think of two feuds where he was the face, but he ended up crazy in both of them, and that was in Hogan and Ric Flair.
Yeah.
He ended up going nuts in both of them, and was he truly the face?
It was always when Miss Elizabeth was involved.
Right. Always. Oh, God. But yeah, I man, was Macho Man ever a face? Truly, I don't know.
Or, I guess the best way to describe it, going back to reality, I think the fans watching, especially when he started getting jealous because he thought in his head that Hogan and Miss Elizabeth were having an affair and whatnot.
Right.
I think that's the reaction of somebody in real life would have if they saw their best friend and their chick, getting too close. And I'm thinking that's what connected with the audience. So whether he was a face or not, he was definitely a tweener, and I think that was one of his gifts on TV.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Macho Man was so good. He was never not entertaining to me. His promos in the back was always just
the best.
Eyes glued to the screen. What's he gonna do next? What's he gonna say?
Cream of the crop, man.
Pulling out creamers from his wristbands, yeah. having Mean Gene like really holding back a laughter. That's what makes. This is why promo should never be scripted, is for moments like that, and Macho Man was full of them. But then you also get crazy people like Ultimate Warrior high on cocaine, just spouting nonsense. But hey, that was good too in its own right.
Yeah, and you see, I think what made Macho Man so great about that is that the intensity was the same, but what he was trying to say really made sense, and he hit it down to the T. Just using acronyms and comparing what he's going through with something else. He just made it look really good on TV.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna have to speak with Jack Tunney about that. I don't agree with this title match he's made.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the Slim Jim commercials, naturally. You can't forget about that. Oh my God. Yeah. I never thought I'd like Slim Jims, but if I want beef jerky and I see a Slim Jim, immediately comes to mind.
Right on, man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like I said, that's probably he's one of the most iconic faces of the industry, and whether you watched wrestling or not, again, if you were just watching TV in general, you definitely knew who Macho Man was, and he was just larger than life. This guy had it, and it's a shame that we lost him, but he lives on through all of our memories, wrestling fan or not. Macho Man Randy Savage was the man.
Yeah. So yeah, Macho Man's definitely there. That's I don't really have much else to say about him or the two matches in general. Might have to do 2 more matches over Macho Man somewhere down the line.
Oh, that would be cool. I think the man deserves it.
Yeah. Not unlike the Ultimate Warrior, where we pretty much watched all of his matches in 20 minutes.
In one sitting.
In one sitting. So, why don't I play this drop then, and we'll move on to the indie scene.
Awesome.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So this is something I've been looking forward to. And that is talking about Impact Slammiversary 16, which occurred on July 22nd. Now, Rad, did you have a chance to watch this yet?
I watched highlights, so I definitely followed it. Definitely will be buying the DVD later on down the road because I must say it was a positive outcome.
This is the best Impact pay-per-view I have seen in years. Redemption was good. It was they were slowly redeeming themselves. We did speak about that on a past episode. But Slammiversary 16 really highlighted how far Impact has come in 2018, especially after 2-3 years of just being in the dumpster, essentially.
Yeah.
Let's call spade a spade on that for sure. Oh my God, people are going nuts on my social media now. So this is their best pay-per-view in years. It turned out to be more hardcore than Extreme Rules. If you can believe that, huh? I honestly wasn't expecting this to be as hardcore as it was. It felt like I was I felt like I was watching as close to an ECW pay-per-view that you could get in 2018.
Yeah, it definitely did have that ECW vibe to it.
So, just quick rundown: Tessa Blanchard faced off against Allie in a singles match, more or less, just kind of establishing who Tessa Blanchard is. She's coming to the Knockouts division. She made her mark. She won. Not much else to say about that match. I quite enjoyed it. Tessa Blanchard is just killing it on the indie scene, including Impact. She can go,
woman or not. She definitely has it.
Yeah, and I think she's only 23 years old. She's primed for greatness. She is the hottest women wrestler in the world right now, I would say. I would argue that all day.
Yeah, Impact was smart for scooping her up. I'm still surprised WWE didn't.
I can't believe it, especially with with her bloodline and being 23. I can't believe they passed on her. Maybe, well, who knows? Maybe it was her decision.
It could have been. I know. I mean, she's definitely been in the indies for quite a while, so maybe it's the type of environment that she wanted to stay in.
Yeah, maybe she. I don't know the full story. I don't know. I haven't really looked into it at all. But maybe she knows she can make a bigger name for herself outside of WWE.
Yeah.
Especially for now, and being so young, she got plenty of time.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it beats the heck out of losing to somebody like Nia Jax. So I don't.
Oh God, I don't even want to go there. Or not being part of the Ronda Rousey show, but we'll get there. All right, Su Yung is killing it with her Undead Bride gimmick, despite entrance, yeah, the entrance, having the Undead Bridesmaids go on. I mean, she's all gimmick. She puts on okay matches. She's not like killing it 5 stars or anything. I think that's more Tessa Blanchard's territory. But for a gimmick, she is absolutely killing it. She's also killing it on the indies as much as Tessa Blanchard. It seems they go hand in hand these days. Yeah. But, you know, whether they're going to Shine or Shimmer or wherever it is they want to go next week. But the stories are being built well around Su Yung and her gimmick, and they are working, totally buying into it.
Yeah, she's definitely a character. She's definitely going to sell merch. She has it, and man, I just love that whole Undead Bride gimmick that she has going on.
Oh yeah, and then her lead up to this match with Madison Rayne. Madison Rayne, being the knockout veteran, you know, got her shot. She beat Tessa Blanchard, so it got her into the title picture, and they did this whole how do I want to describe it? Think of a horror movie, Blair Witch Project kind of deal, where the camera was, or Scream, where the camera's on Madison Rayne and Su Young's kind of stalking her and messing with her mind, and so it was cool. And then it was a cool way to write Madison Rayne off of Impact with Su Yung putting her in a casket at the end of the match. So simple enough, it does its job. Su Yung is killing it. No complaints here from me. So the next match was Tommy Dreamer against Eddie Edwards. Kind of a grudge match there where Eddie Edwards has slowly slipped into pure psychotic mental state, and the match went full on ECW with kendo sticks essentially. The best spot, I would say, where Dreamer took a mock ECW title from a fan and hit Edwards with it and held it up. And then I didn't really like how they teased the table getting lit on fire and then just not even putting anybody through the table. But besides that, the match wasn't too memorable, especially with the things that came afterwards, but it was still okay.
Yeah, it was okay. It was more of like I guess a street fight, going back to how hardcore the show was.
Yeah, if this match came later on the card, I think it would have hurt how we looked at the show. But because it came so early, it made its spot quite well. End of the match, Tommy Dreamer passes on the kendo stick to Eddie Edwards, like passing of the torch thing. So I guess that's just Tommy Dreamer saying Eddie Edwards deserves the hardcore spot in the company, I guess. And he seems to be going forward with that. We're recording on a Thursday right now, and Eddie Edwards is set to be in a match against Austin Aries for the title.
Yeah, that might have already just finished right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not spoiled on it, so I plan on watching that.
Yeah, I have a recording on my DVR.
Yeah. This was followed by LAX OGs. Homicide and Hernandez are back.
Yep.
And slower than ever. Well, Homicide still has it a bit, but man, Hernandez is wobbling around tough, beer gut and all.
Yeah.
Against the, as Travis from Hibiki TMD would say, the Puerto Rican Young Bucks, LAX, New Era. Just what a street fight this was. I absolutely love this. Hardcore spots, i.e. tables, tacks on the ground. Awesome.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Awesome spot at the end where Conan tossed the tacks to Santana, distracting. There was a spot where Homicide did a Conhilo through the table to the outside, just crazy nuts. And you definitely felt the grudge match vibe between. It felt like gang warfare. That's the best way I can describe it. It was good to watch, just stupid fun. It felt like an ECW. You know what? This felt like an Attitude Era tables match.
Yeah, that's they always had that gang warfare, 8-man tag matches and whatnot. So this definitely had that vibe.
Yeah. You got anything to say about it, or shall we move on?
No, we can move on. I agree with you. I think that match was place. It was quite good, and I enjoyed it.
Alrighty. We're going to go to the main event, because there's one match I want to talk about in particular that really stood out. The main event was Austin Aries defending his title against Moose. Did the main event proud. I got no issue with the main title being on last. It's fine. This was just a good wrestling match with some decent crowd spots. And
as
good,
it should be.
Yeah, good use of the stage and ramp being even. I'm always a fan of things looking different from each other. If I was still in Toronto, you'd bet your ass I would have gone to this pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
I don't really have much to say on this match other than Moose has come a long way. I'm usually against the ex-football players, getting a push like they do. Take Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley in WWE, for example, in recent times. But Moose has definitely paid his dues. He definitely deserved to be in a main event. Austin Aries is gold in the ring. He can do no wrong in 2018. He can definitely carry a match, and definitely kudos to Moose wrestling a smaller guy of Austin Aries. That definitely takes some skill. I've seen way too many bigger wrestlers face the little guys and just don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, they definitely had that chemistry, and I kind of got that. It was kind of like a TNA versus ROH match, here. So
sure.
I just think the crowd was invested in it, and it worked.
It did work, and pretty tough to come after the match we're definitely going to get into here is Sami Callihan versus Pentagon Jr. in a hair versus mask match, and it just blew the roof off.
Yeah,
I haven't seen. This is where ECW comes in. I felt like I was watching ECW again. I honestly did. There was railroad spikes going into the head where, there was blood seeping through Pentagon's mask.
Yeah.
Crazy chair shots and spots.
Chair shots, man. God.
At one point, there was a Pentagon did his package pile driver, the Pentagon driver, through 4 chairs on Sami Callihan. He kicked out, of course. I think that should have ended the match personally.
Yeah.
but they just kept one-upping each other, and as the match went on, it just got more and more hardcore, and you definitely felt it with the build. Oh God, the couple months build of Callahan wanting to rip the mask off, Pentagon wanting revenge, breaking the arms of OVE so they wouldn't interfere in the match, and they I believe they did at one point, but because their arms were broken, they couldn't be effective. Kayfabe broken, of course. Yeah, I mean, what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, I was just blown away. I wasn't expecting that, especially from Impact Wrestling, but it was one hell of a match. It was really hardcore. Like I said, especially those chair shots. I was not expecting that, but it was really good and entertaining.
And I think Sami Callihan looks pretty good without hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of expected Pentagon was going to win. He's too big a guy. The mask is too mainstream right now. It's his whole character, the way it stands. But hey, when the match is that damn good, you don't care about the result. And they exceeded expectations by all means.
Yeah, they did. Perfect way to describe it.
Yeah. So that was Impact Slammiversary 16. Fucking great pay-per-view. It's one of my favorite of the years. I don't think it's the best wrestling pay-per-view because of how hardcore it was, but it was definitely entertaining. It's definitely one of the most entertaining pay-per-views of the year. So, next up is the conclusion of the All Japan Pro Wrestling Summer Action Series. I would say this is All Japan's second or third top pay-per-view of the year. There's a title change. I'm just going to quickly just go through kind of what happened. I don't have much to say over a couple of the matches. This happened on July 29th. The Asia Heavyweight Championship was defended. It was resurrected in January, this title. I guess it's their equivalent of the Never Openweight title right now, with kind of part-timers or what have you fighting for it. Ryuji Sai faced off against the challenger Bodyguard, who is the bodyguard of Zeus, essentially. I guess you could put it like that. 20 minutes, solid enough, but it was a really slow start, kind of just dragged hard at the beginning. Bodyguard wins. Dude is just slow. He's 50 years old. He's in good shape, but I didn't really care for this match. It was okay at best. A couple good spots, but wouldn't go out of my way to seek this out. Just wanted to mention the title change. Mm-hmm. Asia Tag Team titles were defended. This was a strange match as well. It was the title holders Yuji Nagata and June. Yeah, and his partner Akiyama. Mm-hmm. They lost their titles to Nomura Naoya and Yuma. Very oddly paced exchanged match where it was very clear two old ass veterans in the match facing off against crazy young lion type guys. Just it was just way too slow paced and then fast paced and then slow paced and then fast paced because of who was involved. It was just jarring to me as I was watching it. I was like, okay, this is boring, and then it was kind of exciting, but the guys involved couldn't match the pace. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It just kept it from really taking off anywhere. It just didn't deliver. I will say this, though. Nomura looks like he is primed for success. I mean, we're talking... He reminds me so much of Sonata and New Japan Pro Wrestling. If the listeners and you yourself, Rad, are familiar with Sonata's work in the ring and how much potential the guy has. Mm-hmm. I think all you have to do is all Nomura has to do is evolve his moveset, work on how fluid he is, and the sky's the limit. I mean, we're talking like Triple Crown champion type stuff here. He looks like he has that much potential. So he is definitely the guy to keep an eye out for in from this match. That's why I wanted to bring that up. And then there's the Triple Crown title, the main thing. Kento Miyahara, Mr. Smooth, Mr. Ace of All Japan against Zeus. I can't remember how many times Zeus has had opportunities at the main title. I think this is his fourth or something. Dude's getting on in age as a wrestler, but he did start much later in his career. I will say the entrances were absolutely amazing. I loved it. Zeus came out with a sweet like Japanese banner entrance where he was taking up the entire ramp. You really felt the presence he was bringing to the ring. This match had good near falls, more than one, which is very important to mention. Miyahara's blackout knees were used as hard hitting kind of go-to moves. Both used as offense, but was also used as kind of a defensive maneuver to keep Zeus down, to keep, get any offense getting in. So Zeus was definitely playing the underdog going into the ace type match. Great counter exchange at the end where Kento goes off for a second shunt down German, but Zeus hits his two big hard-hitting clotheslines where you just see the sweat just fly off, and then into a jackhammer, and he won. He won the match. Kento Miyahara loses it. I think this was only his third defense since winning back the title, and he loses it to a guy like Zeus. I mean, hey, good for Zeus. I'm all up for a new title change, especially since we've seen Kento Miyahara just carry the company on his back. I'm always for trying new things. The match was, I would say, half of it was really slow and underwhelming, but the second half to me delivered. And I was just impressed with how far Zeus has come as a wrestler and what I've seen from him in the past. I think it's definitely his best match, despite how one-sided it was with Kento Miyahara basically carrying it. Because it does take someone to sell the other guy carried the match, I feel.
Right, yeah, it definitely does.
It looks like Go Shiozaki. No, Shiozaki's in Noah, I think. Yeah, I'm mixing up my promotions now. It's getting late. But I don't know who's going to challenge Zeus for the title next. That remains to be seen. I'll have to, pay attention more. I haven't been keeping up with the Summer Sizzle series or whatever it is going on right now in All Japan. It's at Summer Explosion. I think that's what it's called. I haven't been keeping up with it, so I don't know who the next challenger is, but I'm very curious to see how Zeus will handle his first defense. See how far he comes as a wrestler. But yeah, Kento Miyahara lost the title. And then wrapping up the indie scene, WXW had its Shortcut to the Top pay-per-view. This is WXW's Rumble-type pay-per-view.
So it's like the beginning of the season, so to speak?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
New Shotgun season, that's their weekly TV show, has started, and a great episode to hype up the pay-per-view. This was their go-home show before Shortcut to the Chop. Featured a couple key things that happened. This is important going forward. Alpha Female returned to WXW and the ring, full contract and all. And for those that don't know who Alpha Female is, Jazzy Gabbert, does that name ring a bell? She was in the Mae Young Classic. She was the big German girl.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. She couldn't sign with WWE because they found neck issues, and she did have a neck injury, and she had to go through surgery, so she's been off the scene for quite some time. But now she's officially back, and she comes back with a vengeance by beating up WXW. Millie McKenzie's show is finally in WXW. It was kind of her thing. She's got this sweet little 18-year-old gimmick thing going on. It's like, hello, I'm Millie McKenzie. I'm from Progress Wrestling. I'm 18. And then Alpha Female comes from the crowd, just beats her up. It's like, aw, I love her, but poor Millie. And then Walter versus Pete Dunne was in the main event, and it did not disappoint. Excellent limb work, hard hitting, good pace. Even had post-match stories with kind of this Progress WXW rivalry building with Pete Dunne and Dragunov. That's going to happen. Pretty crazy stuff there. And then we'll get into a Shortcut to the Top. I don't think you've seen this match yet. I did want to share this with you though.
Oh, okay. No, I don't think I did.
Okay. Well, anyways, it is a pay-per-view. I do recommend going out and worth watching, even if you know the results. It is good stuff. Excuse me, Kat. Don't hit the microphone. Uh-oh. This is bad. He is all up in my steez. Oh no. If you're watching a live stream, you just see him fly into the camera. Excuse me, people. I apologize for that. So there was a shotgun title tournament, mid-card title tournament that Bobby Guns organized himself. He's like, hey, let's get the best guys. Marius Al-Ani won it, and I've spoken in the past that Al-Ani has a bad habit of going 110% too early in a match, and then he doesn't have any steam for the end. But luckily in this one, he definitely had the right opponent, because Bobby Guns' catch style really slows him down, so he was able to hit the stuff at the end. I think this is Al-Ani's best match to date.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Bit of a controversial finish here, though, where the ref, there was a big super kick, Al-Ani falls on Bobby Guns. Guns' foot gets on the rope, but the ref didn't see it. So Al-Ani does win the title, and Guns is really upset that he lost it. So, yeah, that happened. And it is important to note, Rad, that in the finals, when Al-Ani beat Lucky Kid, Lucky Kid's brother, Tarkan Aslan, kind of cost Lucky Kid the match. And there's some shit building in Rise. So keep that comment in mind. All right, you ready?
Will do.
All right. This was followed by a 3-way elimination table match featuring Monster Consulting against Rise and JFK. They've had a thing building all summer where JFK stole the titles and everything. Go back and listen to previous episodes for the whole scoop on that. The point is that Monster Consulting wants to prove that they're the dominant tag team with the 2 top contenders. And that it's kind of building up World Tag Team League in Europe, big tag team tournament that WXW puts on with a lot of big central European tag teams. And good match, Rad. It's as you would expect a 3-way tag team table match to go. They try a couple spots, get through. Monster Consulting retains, but holy crap. There was this table in the match that didn't want to fucking break.
Oh, are you serious? So they just, I guess, kept on trying?
So, it failed to break on 3 separate occasions.
Oh, man.
And I swear, I've never... The most notable one was the first fail, where Ivan Kiev of Rise is on, like... the upper stage part. So you had the regular stage, and then there was where the screens were. You could climb up a good 10 feet in the air and jump off that. Mm-hmm. So member of JFK, I forget who it was on the table and being held down by Pete Bouncer, Kiev's teammate from Rise. And Kiev jumps from that 10 feet in the air on that stage level to the stage, and the table doesn't break. Instead, the right legs snap outward. So you just hear a big thump and then a snap of the legs. Yeah. It just looked painful for both guys. Yeah. Especially for Kiev, who just jumped 10 feet into nowhere. It was like just jumping on, just elbowing concrete. It looked bad. I was like, I have never seen a table break that way.
Oh, man.
Like, crazy. And then they propped it up in the corner. They immediately took the guy down again, the member of JFK, and propped the table up in the corner. Same table. They brought the table down with it, propped it up in the corner of the ring, and they do a kind of going for a spear through the table. Carry Avalanche had him that time, I believe, and tries to spear him through the table. Table didn't break again. It just kind of slips and falls on the guys, so you hear a big thud on their heads. I'm like, no, again?
Oh, man.
So then they get the other table, the second table, because there was only 2 of them. They get the second table and just powerbomb the guy through, and they're like, okay, move on with the match. So it goes on for a while, some more really cool spots, and then, because it's the only table left now, they prop it up, rings, because the legs are broken, so they get the idea to use the apron of the ring as kind of propping up the table, right? Mm-hmm. And have the legs go. They try a splash through it. They have the guy set up an avalanche, big dude, tries to splash him through the table, and then the other legs just break on the same table. So they just kind of fall and thump on the ground again.
That table was cursed, yeah.
And that's when the crowd started chanting "Unbesiegbar," which basically means like unstoppable, immortal at the table. And you can tell the wrestlers are just so fed up. So they prop it up in the corner again, and it finally breaks. And everyone's like, "Yay!" Ridiculous stuff. It was just unbelievable. I've never seen a table that stubborn. The only thing I could think of in recent memory was when Charlotte and Banks had their Hell in a Cell match, and they tried to throw each other through the table twice and then just gave up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What comes to mind is Kurt Angle trying to throw Shane O'Mac through the glass at King of the Ring.
Yeah, but he didn't try it 2 more times.
Yeah, that's true. At least by the second time, it was like a successful attempt.
That was a botch because that was the wrong glass to throw him through.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that was the right glass, but the glass just didn't break
Still
3 times. Really fucking funny. That was so worth talking about. And I believe after that, Tarkan Aslan came out. He had a big thing to say, he's been going through injuries over the past, I want to say 6 to 8 months, talking about retiring. There's been some rumors around it. So he comes out to the ring with his brother, Lucky Kid, and he has a heartfelt speech in the ring. And, he's saying things like, you never know what to say in front of someone. You think of your lover in front of you, and, you've been with her for 20 years, and, things just haven't worked out. Or man, he kind of threw that in there. And, but he goes, but then you get some good news, and this is far from over. He picks his shoes up back off the ring. His brother's all excited. He's like, oh my God, you're not retiring. And he goes, Lucky, I have a video for you in celebration of this moment. And he shows a video of, there were a couple weeks back on Shotgun, Pete Bouncer was jumped in the back. And they have and Bouncer and Tarkan Aslan have a one-on-one where Arslan is, basically he got caught. They kayfabed his injury being fake. And basically he's the one that took Bouncer out this whole time, and he's basically like, screw you, rise to the top.
Right.
And then the video cuts off, and Lucky Kid's devastated. His brother's like turned his back on Rise. He's lied to him. Lucky Kid's had his back for the last couple weeks, and just leaves him in the ring, and Lucky Kid basically has a mental breakdown because he's an unstable person, kayfabe, right? Alright, so then keep that in mind, okay? And so that leads to the Ilya Dragunov against Absolute Andy for the main title. Andy's the winner from 16 Karat Gold. And the best way I can describe this match is it was a 23-minute slow-paced character romp. The match was underwhelming, but I was still satisfied with it. I just don't know how else to describe it, Rad.
Okay.
It was fine for what it was. It's something I want to rewatch to really get a better feel for it, because I don't know, I guess I was expecting something more fast-paced. But I think Dragunov is working through an injury of some kind, or at least it was kayfabe injury. And he was trying to really play that off, because the match was a lot slower than I was expecting, based on Dragunov's past and how much Andy can work in the ring. Regardless, it ended pretty well with the ref getting taken out. Andy, of course, cheats because he's the veteran, the cheater. He throws a chair into Dragunov's head, then he hits his finisher, his Dominator, and crowd crazy shocked. I was not expecting Andy to win either. Myself, I was shocked. So, big title change. Couldn't believe it. Then that leads us into the Rumble. And Rumble was okay. I liked it definitely more than Defiance Rumble from a couple months back.
And how do their Rumbles work?
So this was interesting. The last couple of years, Shortcut to the Top has had a lot of wrestlers from all over Europe show up, a lot of bigger names. Jimmy Havoc and a lot of Progress guys showing up in WXW. But Progress currently is on their US tour, so their guys are booked solid. RPW now has their deal with New Japan, so they're pretty much booked solid, right? Defiant is doing their Defiant thing with World of Sport, so I was curious to who's going to show up in this, and this actually turned out to be it's about how it's every 90 seconds guy comes out, and most of the guys that came out were a lot of WXW callbacks from their deathmatch days who could still go even a couple minutes. And a lot of guys from Holland, actually. So a lot of Dutch dudes. I was even guilty of looking up, a good 5 names. I'm like, who is this again? Oh, okay, yeah. I kind of remember, I guess. So, if you didn't recognize a name, they probably weren't lasting very long. That was kind of the thing. But Timothy Thatcher, I'm just going to go over the big pops and then how it kind of ends. So I have this all written down in my notes here. Crowd pops. Timothy Thatcher's back. He came out at 7. Him and Walter worked together, clear the ring a bit. Good note that Walter came out 2. David Starr came out 1. Rad, do you see something here?
I guess I don't see it yet.
Do you not remember the crazy rivalry between Starr and Walter that has been building for God knows how long?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay, so they're still working on that then.
They're still keeping that in storylines, and our buddy Colin, who I watched, I believe it was WXW Frankfurt show or one of these, where Jurn Simmons was on commentary. Well, Jurn Simmons comes out at 18. He was my pick. I've been anticipating his return for months and months and months, and he came out at 18. The crowd goes insane. The audio broke a bit on the feed, apparently. It was so loud, but a little underwhelming in-ring return, I must say. He did eliminate Walter. He did immediately reestablish himself as a big heel. Him and Starr get eliminated, and they take the fight to the back. So when Jurn Simmons was on commentary for the last couple months, every time David Starr would have a match, he would always say, like, "Good, I hope he loses. I hate that guy." So they even kayfabe that into his commentary. So David Starr and Jurn Simmons look primed for a rivalry going forward. So even though he didn't last too long in the Rumble, they did immediately establish a plan for the guy. So even though I'm disappointed with it, because I was expecting him to at least go into the Final 4, I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with it.
I think I guess you hit it on the money with that one. It's just something to be okay with.
Yeah. At 22, Jazzy Gabbert, the alpha female, comes out. Even bigger pop. This really ignited the crowd, because the crowd, with a lot of the WXW, callback returns, you did get the feeling in the crowd that they didn't quite remember who these people were, because WXW's changed so much. And there weren't big names. It was a lot of WXW guys, and I'm okay with that. I really am. You're establishing your own company at this point then. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're not relying on all this other... Yeah, you're not relying on all this other, big name talent just to make these one-time appearances. You're building up your own stars.
That's good, because, obviously the big name talent will have the drawing power, but when they can't make a show, you obviously have to have your own talent.
Right. And that's why I was okay with what I experienced and saw during this Rumble. So, Jazzy Gabbert eliminates a couple people. She proves that she's the alpha female. She even body slams Avalanche, the big dude, the big Mountain Dew guy, before getting inevitably thrown out. Crowd loves to see her back. She can do no wrong. I think she's taken that title off Toni Storm. I really do. I think she's going to... little spoiler for those on the very next episode of Shotgun, which took place. It aired yesterday. She did beat Millie McKenzie in a pretty good singles match. I think it went a little too short.
Yeah.
And that seemed to be the number one contender title shot, because they already got a match prime with Alpha Female and Toni Storm for the title in September. So
that's the build. Yeah.
I think the build is subtly there, and Alpha Female's taking that title. I have no doubt in my mind. She's whooping Toni Storm's ass. And I'm okay with that, even though I'm a big Toni Storm fan. So, Final Four came down to Fight Mueller. You remember I mentioned that name before, Rad?
Yeah.
Avalanche. Tarkan Aslan came out at 30 with his newfound heel turn. Crowd hated it. And Bobby Guns, the guy who just lost his shotgun title.
Yeah.
So, I loved this Final Four, because Avalanche is an established WXW guy, and he's a big dude, hard to get over the top, right? Fight Mueller is a guy I see ton of potential with. I saw him in it. Fantastic. Tarkan Aslan, your big heel guy, just established himself as a Rise traitor, betraying his brother and a crowd favorite and Lucky Kid. I mean, the boos he came out to were fantastic. And Bobby Guns, crowd favorite, crazy. Everyone was super behind, and so it's important to note, before it got to the Final Four, Tarkan Aslan told, at this point, Pete Bouncer and Ivan Kiev of Rise were still in the match, and when Arslan came out, he told them to just get out of the ring. A callback to Shortcut to the Top last year, when John Klinger came out, and it came down to the last dudes of Rise, and he told them to get out of the ring, and they voluntarily did, and that's how he won.
So they just split.
Yeah, so they tried. So this was a callback to that, where Arslan was gonna he wanted to be the new guy of Rise, and Bouncer and Kiev weren't having it. Well, as they turned around, Arslan and Marius Al-Ani take him out. Al-Ani with the newfound belt. And this is where it establishes Arslan and Al-Ani as a new group. So everything came full circle here. As soon as that moment happened, I'm like, wait a minute. Arslan cost Lucky Kid the match against Al-Ani. Al-Ani just won the title. Holy shit. And then Bobby Guns immediately takes out Al-Ani, spits on him, throws the title in his face. So they kayfabe that too. Great fucking booking here. And it came down to Avalanche, the biggest dude in the match, again with Bobby Guns as the final two.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And Bobby Guns catch wrestles him out of the ring. It reminded me a lot of when Big Show was in the Royal Rumble, and they kind of guillotined him over the top rope. I forget who won that particular Royal Rumble that year. That's what it reminded me of, that finish. And Bobby Guns wins.
Bobby Guns takes it.
Fucking
nice.
Awesome. Yeah. I was hoping he was going to get a push, and this is his push.
It is. Yep. Heck of a way to
I'm so happy.
The season, man.
I am so happy with all of this booking and the stories being told in WXW. This is why I watch this promotion.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah. So it was so much to break down. I feel like I can't talk that much about a promotion with being so happy with the stories being told.
Right.
And just to finish off, Tarkan, they didn't show the full video a couple times. On Shotgun yesterday, they showed more of the video, and as Arslan took out Pete Bouncer, Mario Solani comes through the door, and he goes, "I can't believe that fucking worked." So they had this set up just months ago. Fucking great. So Al-Ani, a crowd favorite, has turned heel, seemingly out of nowhere, to join Arslan, who also seemingly turned heel out of nowhere. Great character work. So I'm gonna.
I guess they got a stable, or the beginning of a stable going on.
Yeah, it's and it comes at a perfect time too, with World Tag Team League starting up here.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they're going for the tag titles. This it's good wrestling booking. I have zero complaints. you know, everything. I was nitpicking with you know, the Andy and Dragunov match being kind of slow and working. I was nitpicking with Jurgen Simmons not being in the Rumble very much, but with everything else that has happened, it all works.
Yeah.
So yeah, that does our indie scene. If you're looking for anything progress and everything, I'll be in the next episode. So I'm gonna play. Well, I guess I'm playing that now. Good enough. I'll just throw a different wrestling drop in there. But New Japan Pro Wrestling. But first, it's important to talk about Ring of Honor and the NWA title that was defended via Nick Aldis defeats Flip Gordon, who was less flippy than usual for the NWA title. I don't have much to say other than what I have on my notes here. So, I don't know if you saw this match. Did you, Red? It was on YouTube for free, I believe, on NWA's YouTube page.
Oh, that's great. I didn't know that. No, I missed. I wonder if it's still there.
I'm sure it is. So I'm just going to read what I have on my notes here. Aldis has come a long way since his TNA days. Decent near falls, weak submission rest holds. I didn't like those. Really wish the West in general would try more on these. Flip's foot was on the rope. Match restarted at one point. A cool spot where Flip misses a springboard leading to Aldis targeting the back. And then he gets into the legs for the cloverleaf. After 2 cloverleaf attempts, Flip passes out. Match over. I mean, it's more exciting than how I put it just now. But with everything else that's happening this summer in wrestling, it's definitely not making like even a top 20 list. Know what I mean?
It's just, yeah, pretty much lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's just gonna get lost. It's fine. It's probably one of my more favorite Flip Gordon matches because I don't like him being too flippy.
I think the thing is that we all knew, or we all know that, you know, Aldis is scheduled to face you know, Cody Rhodes at All In. So I don't know, maybe that kind of took away the excitement, and the match probably just came out to be a little bit lackluster. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but we all knew that Flip Gordon was going to win.
Yeah. I think that's maybe what took a lot out of this NWA title match. Maybe that's it. So, but let's get into the G1. I think that's more important. Personally. So there's only 4 days left. When we're recording, there's only 3 days left, and I haven't watched that other day on purpose, just so I can't spoil my thoughts and everything, and I've avoided all spoilers. So I've been kind of hanging off Twitter quite a lot last few days. So what I have here, Rad, is some stories that have unfolded and essentially a top 5 of what you should check out.
Right on.
And yes, it is more than 5 matches technically, but it's more of a focus on the wrestler. Top 5 wrestlers in the G1 who are just nailing it in most of their matches, and who their opponents were. So I'm going to start from the bottom of what I have here on the agenda. Okay, Rad?
Okay.
As I keep my cat away from the mic, I'm fighting him in the stream. So, Tanahashi is still the ace. I think we all pretty much expected that. I think that goes without saying. He did lose to Jay White, which I'll get into in a minute, but then he went on a run, and he hasn't lost. He's more than capable of carrying matches still, even in his advanced age and his broken body.
Yeah.
Okada's changing character is fantastic. I love it. Some people aren't fans of it, but I would rather see a change in character to go with a title loss, because we just don't see character changes. Even his movesets have changed a little bit from doing a crossbody and yelling Scooby-Dooby-Doo off the top. Like, it's just goofy.
Right.
You know, he's dyed his hair red. He's coming out with balloons. You know, he seems like a different wrestler almost. And yeah, he's still Okada, but
he's no longer the Rainmaker.
Right. They're really playing up, you know, him trying to get back to being the Rainmaker. You know, they had him lose some matches to various wrestlers. You know, having him even going as far as how do I want to put this, losing to Zack Sabre Jr. in Britain. You know, he's out of home soil. He's off his game. I quite like this. How do you feel about characters or wrestlers like changing characters like this, and how New Japan has gone about it?
I'm all for it, JD. I think it's important in one's career that they simply evolve. You know, you don't want fans to grow stale to it.
Randy Orton comes to mind immediately.
Right. You know, guys like Randy Orton, John Cena, Roman Reigns, you name it. It happens a lot in WWE, and I think New Japan has it down to keep their stuff fresh. I mean, we even saw it happen with Chris Jericho, like 1 month to the next when he started his rivalry with Naito. He was like a totally different looking guy.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it just goes to show you that they can definitely change the way they look or have their characters change. But again, it's important with one's career to evolve, and I think it makes a great story, because even if fans want their original you know, guy that they fell in love with, obviously it's going to be a storyline built around that. And you know, full circle, look at Hollywood Hogan becoming Hulk Hogan again. You know, it took him years to get to that level, but when it happened, it was a pivotal moment. So I think it's really important in a career, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I see when him changing up his moveset to fit his new character. That to me really separates a wrestler from a great wrestler.
Yeah, that one's interesting, because again, you can change characters, but where you're already messing with the moveset, that's something else.
Yeah, and it's just subtle things. You know, you add or take away a move or two, you know? It does make a difference in how you portray your wrestling character on screen and to the fans. So, let's see, what's the other stories I got written here? Omega is going undefeated for the time, while Naito only has the one loss in B Block. Well, until the Ishii match anyways, which happened just on this last day we're counting, where Ishii beat Kenny Omega. Pretty crazy stuff. That's when they just beat the shit out of each other. Great match. It's, I would say that singular match is the best one. The Ishii Omega match that I've seen. That's my opinion. Definitely go out of your way. It's hard hitting. It's as you would expect from an Ishii match, and Omega trying to pull out all the stops to get him. So, but now I'm gonna work from the bottom up officially. Firing Squad, the BC OGs, the Bullet Club OGs, Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, and Bad Luck Fale, causing all kinds of mischief in this G1. Are you familiar with what they've been doing this entire time?
I know they've been causing a lot of chaos and whatnot. But
oh my god!
I haven't really seen in particular.
So every match has been the same. It was fine at first, you know, where they jumped Hangman Page before the match. They the one with Omega, you know, the Bullet Club storylines there, Firing Squad, you know, interfering. That all makes sense. But then they overbooked their interference to just and plus bad results. It got really annoying really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was bad NWO style booking, you might say. Cuz I think I know what New Japan's idea is with this, where a wrestler, you know, they got to wrestle like fucking 20 matches in 2 weeks or some shit, whatever it is. How much days have passed, and they're using the Firing Squad jumping gimmick, where they can have kind of a lackluster match and kind of chill and rest the body a bit more, still have a match, and then interfere, and it's essentially a rest match, kind of like having Yano and B Block against, you know, Omega, Bushi, and everyone, where you know, you can have a 1 to 2 minute match and not really go all out every time. I think that's what they're doing here, but the booking in doing that isn't good, because every match Tongaloa interferes. Every match then Fale comes out, or Tama Tonga comes out, and they always and now they're always losing on top of that. So you're not even buying them as a legit like threat stable. So not good. I mean, I think I don't even know what to put, as I think Tama Tonga against Omega was the best match between Fale and him, and that's what, 10 matches right now? That's unacceptable. Number 5. Here we go, Red. The Rise of Jay White. Are you a Jay White fan?
I like Jay White. Yeah, I have nothing against the guy. I think he has a lot of potential.
I do as well, and New Japan would agree with that, because he defeats Okada in excellent heel fashion. Great body work and storytelling. Match ends with Okada hitting a Rainmaker, but on the twist, White hits the ref. White then low blows, and Blade Runner to wins. Wins in similar fashion against Tanahashi, but much more... it wasn't smooth. Let's just put it that. It was a messy finish. Didn't look very good. Post-match, good promo with Jay White saying that it's his Chaos now. He's coming for Okada. He's trying to convince a lot of the members of Chaos, especially Yo, to kind of join his side. He did beat Elgin as well. He beat a couple other guys as the they're not matches that are standing out to me from a wrestling standpoint, but from a character work, they're definitely getting the story told. His best matches were definitely against Okada and Tanahashi, and those two names involved, you're gonna have a good match.
Sure.
Yeah. What do you think about the rise of Jay White that we're seeing in this G1 here?
I'm all for it. I think the guy deserves, a push, and obviously we're seeing that he's definitely making progress. At the beginning of the year when he introduced this new character that he has going on, I definitely like it. So we're just seeing the beginning of it, and there's more to come. And I think everything is taking place right now in the G1.
Yeah, and I'm glad his winning ways didn't just end after the first 2 or 3 matches. He's still winning, and he's still in the hunt. I still don't buy him winning the G1 by any means. He might win the block. They got New Japan booking him the way they are. They have me believing he could win the block. But I still don't think he'd win the G1. I don't think he's main event material yet, but he's definitely primed for at least an IC title match or something along that line. And that's a great way. This is New Japan building a new star in the making. This is fantastic. This is something. This is a move I can compare to WWE not doing.
Yeah, and this guy is young, man. Potential, and I think they know that, so they're slowly building towards that.
Oh yeah,
making history.
Yeah. So, man, this is how I've done it. Number 4, I have Ishii matches. So Ishii as the wrestler against with his 2 best matches. So this is number 4. Ishii against Ibushi on night 10, Ishii against Omega on night 14. I did mention the Omega Ishii match. I think that's singularly the best by far. But with so many good matches, I kind of have it down to, if the wrestler has 2 good matches, then I put it higher on the watch list, you might say. Does that make sense, Rad?
Yeah, it does.
All right. So both hard-hitting, good mixture of exchanges, very exciting. A couple moments of typical Ishii big-type matches where both guys will roll through moves and stop selling in the moment. However, I think in the Ibushi and Omega match, it was acceptable in this moment. That's where Ishii kind of, when he has the right opponent to make it a big match feel, then I think I'm more accepting of what's happening to me in front of my eyes, as opposed to, say, a couple months back where Ishii was facing off against Keith Lee in Revolution Pro.
Right.
Yeah. To me, Ishii's matches always get a bit samey with how it goes down and how it ends. But in this case, I was way more into it because of I don't know if it's because of the environment of the G1. I think it's that and who was involved in it as well. So definitely go check that out. Have you seen any matches in the G1 or highlights or anything, Rad? I don't think I've asked you that.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I've just been busy with work and personal stuff. I just haven't had a chance, but it looks like there's a lot of matches on here that I'm definitely looking forward to at least catching up on.
Yeah, well, this is we'll definitely keep my agenda. You have it, and you can use that as a guide.
Keep these highlighted.
But I would definitely highlight that Ishii Omega one for sure. I have a tie for 3, as in all of night 6. Every match on that. I think that's been my favorite night to experience watching. And I say night, even though I've been waking up at 5 a.m. to catch these things every day. It's my morning routine. Yano versus Ibushi. Ibushi gets his hands tied and falls to Yano's tricks. Sonata out-wrestles and shocks Zack Sabre Jr. at his own game. I believe this was much better than their match at the during the New Japan Cup encounter, because Sonata was just had more offense. He wasn't on the he wasn't grounded by Zack Sabre Jr. the whole time. I think this was Sonata's best match. Mm-hmm. At least that's from what I've seen out of him. The Omega Sonata match was good as well, but my opinion, of course, you know. Naito baits, taunts, and attacks Juice Robinson's busted left hand. Great story of heart. Great heel work by Naito. Omega versus Tama Tonga. Spoke with that. Bullet Club storylines going on. Some flashes wrestling, but it was more about the story. Funny moment. This is when Tama Tonga gun stuns Red Shoes, so think of RKO. And then after Red Shoes gets up, he basically had enough, and he, you know, flips him the double bird and DQs Tama Tonga. Instead of counting it anyways. So good. Man. Yeah, good stuff there. Yeah. Goto and Ishii went to war. Ishii wins in the red. Good God, they need to go get some rest. Go get some concussion impact testing after that one. Yeah. Number 2 here, I have Goto's matches. Goto versus Omega on night 2. That actually got 5 stars according to Dave Meltzer. I do agree. And Goto versus Ibushi on night 12. So you see, I think you see a pattern here. It's always this guy against Omega and Ibushi.
Yeah, it's recurring.
It's very occurring, and it's mostly in block B. So crazy back and forth with fantastic spots throughout to change momentum. This is the Goto Omega match. Omega springboard dive counters. Omega goes for a springboard dive to the outside of the ring, and Goto counters by throwing a chair from the audience. So the camera was fitted where you just see a chair fly from out of nowhere, just hit Omega. Super funny. Omega scoop slams Goto on the bleachers, then moonsaults off the bleachers. Goto at one point hit a code red from the top rope that scared the piss out of me because it looked like Omega landed on his head and neck.
Oh, man.
Yeah. In the Ibushi match, same shit, different spots that fit more Ibushi style. Match was almost good without the outside. I think it was almost as good, but it was more focused on in-ring than the outside stuff that we saw in the Omega match. So, really good stuff all around. Why I put this higher is because they were so much more different matches. Ishii matches looked the same despite 2 different opponents. Goto being, as I call him, the Bret Hart of New Japan currently, because he can adjust his style to any opponent. He is that damn good. And this allowed Omega to be crazy and Ibushi to be more kicky and hard-hitting, because he matches the opponent with their style. Super good. And number 1 is Naito's matches against Ibushi. Omega and Ishii in particular this time. So that would be night 1 and 2. So right at the start. Naito and Omega got a 5-star rating as well. I don't know what the rating was on Ishii and Omega, but I imagine that's at least 4.5 for sure.
Oh man, yeah, it's like any Kenny Omega match is 5-star, man. That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there was a pretty funny comment when Tama Tonga, kind of ruined their match with the interference and shit. Kenny Omega backstage goes, you can betray Bullet Club, you can do this, but you crossed the line when you ruined my average star rating in this G1. Yeah. I got a kick out of that. So, I think this Naito Omega match was better than their previous encounters. I think this was their best match between the two of them. I think both go through mocking each other. Just good flow, momentum switches. It is a pure wrestling pure wrestling prodigy, you know, Ric Flair, Steamboat type chemistry between the two. Naito and Omega can do no wrong with each other, just as much as Omega and Okada, I think. They just haven't had that large scale quite yet, in my opinion. Ishii Naito on night 2 was, of course, more hard hitting because it's an Ishii match. But this was more like give me your best shot kind of deal. And Naito being Naito, really able to bring out character work a lot more because of who he is. Naito spitting in the face of people, I don't know what it does, but it just makes it so much more real feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like hit me harder, and the guy hits him again. He spits in the face, and it gets him to hit the guy harder. I don't know. It's just those little extra things really make the difference. Ishii finally blows up with forearm to neck shots, just ow, ow, ow type shit. Just good stuff. Really back and forth. So yeah, Naito has blown it away.
Man, yeah, it looks like I've missed out on quite a bit. A lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with the G1. I'm kind of disappointed Zack Sabre Jr. hasn't had a higher pedestal as, say, Goto in this, but I think that just speaks more to Zack Sabre Jr.'s ring work than anything else, and on the type of wrestler he is. And then Sonata is the other name that comes up. He has no character work, and hasn't really evolved his wrestling in the last couple of years. It's the same smooth style, it's just not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that pretty much sums up my thoughts over the G1 so far. It's definitely worth checking out. Definitely write those matches down. Listen to it again. And if you have anything else to say, we can move on.
Go ahead, man.
All right.
I'm good.
Let me, there we go. All right, so here's some just general talk over some WWE as we head into SummerSlam and what's been going on. As we know, SummerSlam is one of WWE's big 5 pay-per-views that they put on a year. One of their original 2. It was Mania and SummerSlam. So, the important thing to note is Black lost his NXT title to Ciampa via Gargano inadvertent interference type shit. Going as far as where Black blames Gargano for him losing the title because Gargano's going crazy, can't have Ciampa without Gargano type deal. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Black now injured his groin, minor surgery, but he just won't make it to SummerSlam. He's just going to miss it. So the triple threat has been canceled, at least with Black in the picture. I say you immediately put a story in where Keith Lee took out Black and put him in the triple threat. That'll immediately make Keith Lee a major player, gives him a spot to do, and he can prove himself immediately to the WWE universe. That's just me. Or put Matt Riddle in it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think that'll work. You know, right now, this whoever it ends up being, it's going to be a strong debut, so it'll definitely make good TV. But I think Keith Lee would definitely work.
Yeah. I mean, would you be okay with just another singles match between Gargano and Ciampa? This time between the NXT title? I think it's too soon. I was more into that triple threat idea. It worked into the story.
Being that this is the takeover surrounding SummerSlam, I agree. I think the triple threat would have worked. But if they're already, I guess, moving towards another storyline with finding out who attacked, I'm sorry,
Aleister Black.
Aleister Black. That's already, I guess, progressing into its own storyline. And here we're back again with just Gargano and Ciampa, and I think I'm okay with it. I wouldn't say it's too soon. I think if anything, it's the right time. I just really thought that the last match they had was the climax, so I don't know if it's smart having another one-on-one in this time for the title, but maybe this is Gargano's moment.
Yeah, maybe, but that would make it weird to have Ciampa win, because it's very odd, because Ciampa wins the title on an episode of NXT of all things.
Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to fix an imaginary timeline. You know, it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense.
And then you immediately have Gargano win it at Takeover Brooklyn. Like, I don't know. It just seems odd. I'm not sure how I'd feel about the result until I see it happen in front of me.
Retains again, it's like, okay, what does that mean? They're going to go again, or will this be the climatic match? I don't know. It is a weird situation. I will give it that, but I'm okay with seeing them go 1-on-1 for the title. I think it should be a good match. Aleister Black, that storyline is already moving on its own. I don't think we'll see him in the title picture, at least not right now.
Yeah.
But
have you seen the video?
Man.
Have you seen the videos of it where they're seemingly all of NXT is implicated as who took out Black?
Yeah. It's like, who can it be? You know. But I'm a fan of those kind of storylines. That's pretty cool. It's the Black Scorpion all over again.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's I don't know. Right now, Ciampa is he's killing it. Man, that guy he knows how to be a heel, and he's really pulling it off. He's doing it well. So, you know, if he's going to continue to have the strap for a while, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I think they need to add someone to that to make it a triple threat.
But you're right. Yeah, I think a triple threat would have definitely worked, especially you know, being involved around revolving around SummerSlam.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, have you? I don't know if you caught that, but when the camera panned by the Undisputed Era in their convertible, it has Adam Cole going, all right, boys, let's get out of here, and they're listening to their own entrance music in the car.
Yeah, man, all their little fantastic.
Super good.
It's good stuff. It's like they're breaking the fourth wall in the sense that they know they're cool, so they're just having fun with it. It's like, yeah, we know our theme song is cool, so let's rock out to it.
Yeah. I do want to mention that Keith Lee had his in-ring debut on NXT recently against Marcel Barthel, my boy, Axel Dieter Jr. from WX fucking W. Another guy. He has been in NXT for fucking forever, and he hasn't been on TV yet. Now he's fine. To have his match against Keith Lee and not be squashed, I think that means a lot. Because he did get some offense in. And got to show off his character. He came out with the full ring conf character part of it, and he came out to Walter's matching music too, in his rendition of the symphony music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very interesting. I hope they're gonna use him right. I really do, because he's I think he's only about 27, so he's got plenty of time.
I had no idea. I thought he was older.
No, Axel Dieter Jr. Marcel Barthel is he's a young guy. I think he is a type of guy that's, I think, in the WWE landscape, he's an IC type champion. He's a workhorse mid-card guy.
Your style.
Yeah, oh my god, that is my wrestler to a T. My favorite kind of wrestler. So, let's talk about Raw and SmackDown as we head into SummerSlam.
All right.
Brad, how caught up are you with this? Are you familiar with what's been going down lately?
I'm familiar with everything's going down. I can't say I've tried my hardest to stay tuned into Raw, but like after 20 minutes, I just give up and give the TV to my little girl to play Breath of the Wild or something. So it's just hard to stay tuned. Yeah, I'll just catch up on highlights and whatnot. But you know, I'm definitely in tune with what's going on heading into SummerSlam, and I must say I'm actually excited with a couple of matches. So
all right, what do you got for me then?
Okay, well, obviously, I think the main match that everybody's looking forward to is AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe.
Yes,
it can go either way. I think that's the match to see.
I don't think that's without question.
Yeah, I mean, oh man, these two guys have a long, storied history, both personally and professionally. Obviously, they had a history in Impact Wrestling over at TNA.
Mm-hmm.
And I always thought that when AJ Styles came on board and then we had Samoa Joe, I was like, yeah, these two guys have to go at it. And they're finally booking them together. So definitely looking forward to that. It's going to be a singles match for the WWE Championship, AJ Styles defending. Now, this is the hard part. It's like, okay, well, who do you really want to win? AJ Styles is everybody's favorite guy. He's my favorite guy. And I'm okay with him retaining the championship. But if there was a time where I think it's okay to move on and have him lose it, Samoa Joe is the guy. I'm all about AJ Styles continuing the winning streak, or at least
Mm-hmm.
his reign of championship. But yeah, I think it's Samoa Joe's time, and who better to win it from than AJ Styles? And I think these guys can have an awesome feud, maybe lasting into Survivor Series or culminating at Hell in a Cell or something.
Yes, and
I don't know
there's
what your
been
thoughts
there's
are on
been
that.
there's been leaks already that Samoa Joe and AJ Styles are prime for a match at Hell in a Cell,
Ah, okay,
and
that makes sense.
yeah, well they don't have anyone built on SmackDown really in the main event scene. That's the problem.
Yeah, and that's booking's fault. They just I don't know, the way they've been booking matches, and their roster has just been very weird as of late. Like you said, none of them seem like main event material.
Right.
So
No one can be over another kind of
yeah,
mentality.
and man, AJ Styles is just on top of his game right now. So it's like, okay, well, who are you gonna have face him? I mean, we know they're gonna lose, but you
Yeah.
see with Samoa Joe, it's like, okay, we still have that chance.
Yeah, and I've mentioned this before. I was a guest on Jay Silver's Smack It Down podcast. I was talking about how I think you got to put the belt on Joe here for a couple reasons. Joe has been the guy for the last, I want to say, year and a half, where he seemingly gets put into this main event title picture, right? Be it Universal Fruit Roll-Up title against Brock Lesnar,
Yeah.
IC title matches, Fatal 4-Ways, number one contender matches. He wins that, he gets the title match, and then he loses. And then you don't see him for a while again after that.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
And I'm really afraid here if you don't put the title on him, because right now WWE loves AJ Styles. They have every right to be. But I think if you don't put the title on Joe right now, then it's just going to do that again. And now we're getting to kind of the Bray Wyatt syndrome territory, to put a recent name out there, where you never then buy that they're going to win the new one. They just eat pins in the big matches.
You see, and that's seeing it from the Samoa Joe perspective. Again, like if Styles were to retain, I would be okay with it too, because I want to see that reign continue. But
Right.
it's so tough, and I think this match can't go any other way other than Samoa Joe winning. And it could be the beginning of a very long feud with AJ Styles. And hopefully this time they get it right. Hopefully they won't mess it up like they did with Nakamura.
Oh,
But,
God. I'm
yeah, I mean, that was a
terrified for
fail.
that.
Yeah.
I am so terrified, because Styles and Joe on paper, they've already proven that they could do it so many times. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had a conversation with Jay about this, where take Nakamura Styles. They wrestled one time at Wrestle Kingdom, and it was a 5-star caliber match.
Yeah.
Right? AJ Styles, Samoa Joe have wrestled numerous times over the past, 15 years now?
Oh, yeah.
They started in Ring of Honor in, 2003 or something?
Yeah.
I forget when that match occurred. The difference between the two is that Styles-Nakamura match was replicable. It only happened a year and a half ago when Mania occurred, or 2 years ago max, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was replicable. Guys are Styles and Nakamura still have that same style, same. They're not too far removed from age-wise. Joe Styles, I don't expect it to be the same match from 10, 15 years ago, because the guys are much older. They don't pull out the same moves anymore. They're much more refined in their craft. They have their character work down. They're not in the same indie companies needing to, bust their bodies in half. And even Samoa Joe is on record saying, no, we can't. We set the bar too high. And I'm okay with that. What I need here, and what I expect here, is a 20 to 23 minute Samoa Joe is the submission machine, and not this WWE style 4 moves, rest holds half the time, which is really irritating me watching a Samoa Joe match in WWE main roster. This is what I'm afraid of. I have no qualms or expectations that they're going to meet their Ring of Honor TNA type match calibers. I don't expect that. The guys are past that. I just want something 23 minutes that the guys are capable of. And I don't think we're going to get that. That's my worry. And my other worry is Joe is just going to eat a pin.
Now that you mentioned it, I definitely fear that. I think that the way WWE likes to book their matches is rest holds and all that stuff that we saw at what was it? Was it a Backlash I can't remember when it was.
It was Backlash, which was the ref.
Yeah, that was man, that was just hard to watch. And let's hope we don't get something like that, because out of somebody like AJ Styles, obviously the bar is set high and we are expecting a high caliber match. But again, we're okay with them not performing like they did 10, 15 years ago. We understand that. It's just a matter of
oh yeah, I'm not expecting Samoa Joe to do a back moonsault from the ring to the outside anymore.
But again, they can still pull off a really good match. It just has to be booked well. And if it's going to be nothing but rest holds and double low blows, that's not going to work.
Yeah, and I have seen, I love Samoa Joe. I'm a huge mark for the guy. SoCal submission machine all day, right? What I've seen in his wrestling style since coming to the main roster is not what I saw in NXT with Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor. He looks like a totally different wrestler, and I think WWE is telling him, you can't do this move, you can't do that move, and he's being forced to work matches that aren't good. And that's my worry here with this AJ Styles match. I hope I'm proven wrong. I want to be proven wrong.
I mean, then again, Samoa Joe has been up against the likes of guys like Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, Bray Wyatt, but this is AJ Styles. He might very well bring out the best in him right now. So.
I sure hope so. The Roman Reigns match killed me inside.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah,
really
you had Samoa Joe having Reigns in a rest hold, and he's going, well, what'd you expect with the big dog on the mat? And I'm like, yeah, I know, Joe.
Yeah.
What do you think of this way they've booked Becky Lynch into this title match picture on SmackDown? Because this really stands out to me as one of the other two topics.
Yeah, and actually that was the other match because obviously I'm a huge Becky Lynch fan. It's kind of bittersweet because now she's actually being booked well. She's winning, she's progressing. She won the #1 contender spot and is going over to SummerSlam to face Carmella for the championship and enter Charlotte Flair. Oh man, Charlotte Flair is one of the, if not, best women's wrestlers today, and I have nothing but respect for her. I'm a fan of Charlotte Flair, but when Charlotte Flair is involved and Becky Lynch is in a triple threat, you kind of know that it might not go Becky's way and it might be in favor of Charlotte again. However, what a lot of fans are failing to realize is that this might be the beginning of maybe a potential storyline down the road where either one of them turn heel. Maybe this time Becky Lynch will turn heel. We haven't seen Becky Lynch as a heel since the days of NXT. So that would be pretty cool to see. So if it's the beginning of a storyline to book it in that sense, I'm okay with it. This way, maybe we'll get Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair with Becky being the heel down the road. I mean, hell, put them in the Hell in a Cell together as well. I mean, that'd be awesome. But if they don't have that in mind and it's just going to be another match where Becky's not going to win, it's going to be, poor her. Charlotte Flair will get all the, the attention, and that's just the way it's going to go. I'm afraid of that as well. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, it is bittersweet.
I think they. I'm even going to take this a step further. If Becky Lynch turns heel, I'm not for it because they've built up the most organic babyface on the roster next to Bayley.
Yeah,
and this is a main roster. This is a once in a blue moon thing. I'm like, oh my god, they actually booked her well. She won matches. She had a great promo. And then you do this, and now you're trying to. I think URAD and other people are trying to look where something isn't again.
Yeah, see the positive into something that's not there.
I'm like, everyone goes, well, maybe this is where Becky Lynch will turn heel. And I go, well, then they didn't do their job right. She had no business turning heel. doing this. If anything, Charlotte should be the one to turn heel, because you got beat by Carmella clean twice, essentially. Or no, it was clean twice. And enter her. I'm talking in circles there, but the point is, you've built up Becky as an organic babyface, and then within 2 weeks you turn her heel. Like, oof, ouch to me. And now that it's a triple threat match, I have no doubt that Carmella's winning this match.
That doesn't make it any better either. It's just like, oh man, I don't know. Carmella's champion should not be, but
it should not be a thing. I'm already upset enough that James Ellsworth came back just to make Asuka look foolish, and then they just fire him immediately. Just a repeat of what they did with him last time.
Yeah.
Not even trying, not even a second thought. I'm like, what a waste of our fucking time. Oh God. There's rumors on Tuesday this week on SmackDown, upon recording here. I think this episode's going to come out on Tuesday, where Asuka's going to get a #1 contender match, and she'll be thrown into the match now.
Oh wow! So we're talking about a fatal 4-way here?
Yeah, I think they're just throwing names in because it's SummerSlam, and that sounds like such a WWE thing to do.
Yeah, they just build this big, extravagant 6-hour show, and they just try to get everybody on the card.
Yeah. Everyone's going to get a payday.
I mean, let's say if they go that route, I think maybe having Asuka as the 4th woman will kind of make the odds a little bit better. It'll be balanced out. But even then, I have a feeling that would still lead to Carmella retaining as champion. So
yeah, I mean, I could picture it now. Asuka kicks Becky's head off. Charlotte does a moonsault on Asuka. Carmella throws Charlotte out of the ring and then gets the sneaky heel pin, Alexa Bliss style. Because that's what happens with Alexa Bliss matches. Someone else does the big move, she chucks him out, she gets the pin. We're done here.
Yep.
Because they gotta book him in the same way. Raw has become the Ronda Brock show. Everything else doesn't matter. Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, poor guys. I swear to God.
Yeah, it's like, man, they just, God.
They're being booked under the football players.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about going to SummerSlam? Oh, the tag teams are being buried.
Yep.
Sanity and AOP are done. I don't see them coming back or going anywhere.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And I think I saw the moment that the Authors of Pain, got rid of their manager. I think that was a bad move.
Yeah. And I know what everyone's thinking. I think it was Corey on the SmackDown podcast when I was a guest there, because I asked him the same question. Do you think they're buried? And he goes, if they don't have anything planned for either of them once SummerSlam is over, then yeah, I think it's time to call the burial.
Yeah.
The dirt's over.
The next time we'll see them in any kind of caliber match, it'll probably be at Survivor Series, the next big pay-per-view, and only to fill up the card.
Yeah. I mean, SmackDown's been watchable, but the booking is still very, very questionable. Because, I mean, The Bar and the New Day had a good main event. I did go back and watch that, because everyone said it was good. It's like, yeah, it was a good match, but look what we ended up getting in the end. New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers again. Great, we've seen that, and the Bludgeons killed them.
Yeah, I don't even bother with anything New Day these days.
I mean,
it's just I don't even care anymore. Every time I see them involved with something, I know it's just filler.
You want to talk about not building new stars? Here you have the Bar, who hasn't been on TV in a while. You could have built them up. I would have been okay with the Bar winning. Sanity should have been in the picture, and even losing to the Bar would have been okay. But to go out in their little first round semi-final tournament that they did, it's not good. It's not acceptable. I'm so sick of it. We've seen the New Day as champs. They can challenge for titles, but constantly being thrown in the new picture or into the title picture, you're not building stars that way. You won't do it that way. You just get people like Mike Kanellis being on main event every time. Rad, I did speak to someone at the Progress Wrestling show. sipping on a Modelo, and I asked him some of these questions, and we were talking about. I was plugging my podcast, self-plug.
Nice.
And I go, "What do you think about this?" And he goes, God, I forget the name of the podcast. Let me pull it up here. I have it saved because I do want to shout this guy out and the podcast. It is. I want to give credit where credit's due. Library, podcasts, Jobber Knocker podcast. The Jobber Knocker podcast. He goes, the way WWE is treating NXT talent is way too similar to how the WCW talent came over Invasion and post-Invasion.
Mm-hmm.
Every NXT talent that comes up, all of their accolades and anything else they've ever done means jack shit, and it's almost like they didn't accomplish anything at all. And
that's Vince McMahon for you.
And that's exactly it. And it's he goes, it's just like The Rock when he saw Booker T, and he goes, "Who are you?" And that's exactly what all the talent is doing to the NXT talent that comes up. Who are you? Every time. When the character work's already been built, that's the whole point of NXT. Is you build the character there so you don't have to on the main roster. You can just go straight into storylines. But when you have every single person on the main roster then going, "Who are you?" then you don't build anybody. And we've seen it way too much with every single guy. Ember Moon's not on the card. Almost isn't on the card.
That's a shame.
Sanity's not on the card.
Yeah.
AOP is buried under freaking Titus Worldwide, who they've been slapped in. Iconics are going nowhere. Who else? I'm forgetting one other person who was called up. But you get the idea.
Yeah, totally.
It's a problem.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is, and I think Vince McMahon, obviously stuff changed, and our taste in what we like in wrestling is very, very different. And he still continues to, push what we don't like down our throats, but he's also the world's biggest troll, and he'll actually do it in his product. And this is his way of saying, okay, well, these are the guys that you liked. Well, they're just not tough enough to play in the WWE. And like you mentioned, he did the same thing during the invasion with WCW. So what he just doesn't realize these days, and the guy's already, I guess, just out of his mind, is that this is the future of WWE, and you want to build around that. And the fans already invested in the NXT product, and they care for these superstars. You already have a foundation there. Use it,
Yeah.
But, it doesn't work that way.
What immediately comes to mind with the horrible booking and not doing anything with these new stars is look at and my prime example, the best one going on right now is the Shinsuke Nakamura Jeff Hardy US title picture. They have a match at SummerSlam, but you'd never fucking guess what the stakes are or anything. We just saw Jeff Hardy get slapped in 10 seconds at Extreme Rules, and then every single week building up to this has been Randy Orton. It's not even about Shinsuke Nakamura, the US champion, which was a huge fear of mine. I was like, great, he won the title. And they've done fuck all with him. He's barely been on TV. He hasn't even had any mic work, even with his no speak English thing. He's filled with character, and all we've gotten is Randy Orton going, we have heel Randy Orton. It's the only one that should exist. But he's still the same, I have my DDT, I speak monotone, and screw you fans. And he's going after Jeff Hardy. With the way this is going down, I think Jeff Hardy's winning this title back at SummerSlam, and we're going to have Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy down the road.
Yeah.
And that disgusts me. You give Shinsuke the belt just so Jeff Hardy can sort of heal?
Yeah, it's
tragic. It's disappointing, very much so. So, do we have anything else we want to mention? Do we care about Roman Brock?
Oh man. Oh yeah, that's the biggest match on the card.
That's supposedly the biggest one.
Yeah, no, it's I think we've already discussed our thoughts on
Man,
Brock and Roman many times, and no
good
matter how many times the fans
God.
reject it, they still continue to book them together. Why is beyond me.
Well, Red, you
Oh,
weren't
but
on.
because we got a little bit of a pop, last Monday night, so they're finally accepting Roman Reigns. Whoop-de-doo. It's
Well, they
like,
weren't even
no.
chanting Roman; they were chanting Strowman. It just sounded like Roman on TV. That's what I found hilarious. Because
Yeah.
if you go on Twitter and look it up, there were people going, "We weren't chanting Roman."
That's awesome, man.
Everyone was chanting Strowman. It just sounded differently on TV. And that's what we're gonna get in that main title match. Is we're gonna get 20 minutes of "We want Strowman" chants, wanting to cash
we
in.
want Strowman chants, and it's going to be the same shit. You're just going to get Suplex City, 20 of them, and out of nowhere, Roman Reigns might actually just win it, because I know there's rumors that Lesnar is going back to UFC and they're going to come back to WWE. So I don't know, but it's like at this point, nobody even gives a damn.
How do you like that Bobby Lashley win at Extreme Rules? Sure means a lot, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like it just went nowhere. God.
It went immediate within 2 weeks exactly to that date. It meant nothing
Yeah.
because he had to face him again on Monday night and lost clean. Immediately out of the picture. I don't get it. I don't pretend to understand. I think Brock's winning. I'm saying it right now. I think Lesnar's winning.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it, but again,
until I'm proven differently, why should I think any different?
I think the only thing interesting about what's going on is, I guess, how he kind of like turned against Paul Heyman. I guess there's some storyline there. I don't know if that's going to play a factor in
I think it's a big troll.
The match.
I think it's a big troll by Heyman.
But yeah, it could very well be. I mean, Heyman is for those kind of shenanigans, so why not?
Yeah.
But again, it's like at this point nobody cares. Raw Women's Championship, Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. I don't think anybody cares about that either.
People like Ronda. I think she proved what she's capable of with the match on Raw against Alicia Fox, where it was Fox rumping around the ring, right. Kevin Owens style against Goldberg, and she gets in the ring, three judo throws and an armbar.
That was the half a year build up.
I was like 8 months and we got that on Raw. Are you kidding me?
But hey, I mean, the name power is there, and I do like Ronda Rousey. I just don't really care so much for the match against Alexa Bliss. So
no, I don't think Ronda's gonna win. Nope.
Somebody's gonna interfere, or Alexa's gonna pull something out of her pockets.
Yep. No, I mean, they had every chance to try and book Ronda Rousey like Goldberg. And I think they're doing it haphazardly, and they're also doing it haphazardly Stone Cold style. And by what I mean is that they're booking her exactly like Lesnar's return in, I think, what was that, 2014? It's like the the book.
Yeah, just the female version.
Mm-hmm. It's very disappointing. It was okay, the first time where she got screwed against her match against Nia Jax, but now it's rinse and repeat formula, and that's WWE. They don't want to go outside of just simple booking and simple storytelling. That's why I think this whole like Becky Lynch turning heel thing or Strowman cashing in at SummerSlam is going to go all hunky dory. I think I think that would be, you're overthinking what WWE is capable of even caring about today.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 5-year-old knows what's happening.
Man, and where the hell is Cien Almas?
Almas Almas is playing second fiddle to Lana versus Vega on SmackDown.
God, man. So now he became the manager, I guess.
It looks like they just switched places. It's baffling. Like, I understood, I guess, the first time Vega and Lana faced each other off on SmackDown, but then, of course, in WWE fashion, you got to have the match again, right? Immediately, the very next week, and do the same thing where Aiden English costs Lana the match, and why can't we have Rusev against Almas in a big feud? With the managers going at each other and hyping their dudes up.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
Well, instead, it's the other way around, plus Aiden English causing things, so we're going to have Rusev Day ruined for it. Like, I'm surprised at my own words that are coming out of my mouth going, how is the other thing not the thing instead of that? Why do we have words, rad? I hate it. This is why I don't watch WWE anymore.
Yeah, dude, it's just not even worth it, man.
I get everything I need on Twitter in freaking 30-second GIFs and shit.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we've spoken about. I'm playing the WCW Thunder drop. Let's get the Thunder.
Let's get to the fun part.
All right, take us away. I'm all hyped up and words go.
Awesome, man. Well, here we are on my favorite part of the Red Leaf Wrestlecast, and that's where we review episodes of Thunder. And today we'll be reviewing episode 5, WCW Thunder. It took place February 5th, 1998, from Beaumont, Texas. So what makes this one special, and I think for both you and I, JD, is that we both have a history with this specific event, because I, for one, actually have this recorded on VHS. But I know you actually attended the show as a kid.
It was my 10th birthday present.
That's freaking awesome, man.
And I was like, I remember going to a Thunder event when I was a kid, but I couldn't remember what year it was, half the wrestlers involved, and as I was watching the show and how everything was slowly unfolding,
started coming back.
Yeah, the one that the moment that it like kind of clicked in my head was when Marty Jannetty faced Raven.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I was a big Marty Jannetty fan.
Jannetty fan, that's right.
Yeah, ex Rocker, and I remember Raven's flock just being involved in this big time, and I called my mom up. I was like, Mom, do you remember what year it was we went to a WCW show? And she goes, well, which one? I was like, does Beaumont, Texas sound familiar? And she's like, oh yeah, we went to Thunder in '98. It's like, I'm watching that right now.
Yeah. So what kind of seats did you have, or what?
Oh, it was way in the back for WCW. The only shows that we ever got front row was WWF at like a main event or something.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, we were poor little Texas family in the bleachers.
The bleachers.
Well, let me rephrase that. It was never on the floor. We were always in the like second level area.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that was my history with this show. Pretty fun. I only remembered very much bits and pieces of this.
Now, one thing I will say about the show is that you might have actually attended a historic Thunder, because I want to say this is the first episode where it kind of already became like the B show, and not only that, but like the entrance, they changed it from that stone caveman looking thing to like more of like an industrial type of look.
Yeah, that was episode 4. They changed the stage.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that
was the previous one
from the last cast. So
yeah.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
but either way,
Beaumont, Texas is right next to Houston. It's like 30 minutes out.
Yeah.
Very easy drive.
And it's so funny, back when I was a teen recording all these shows, it was always by mere coincidence that every time I popped in a VHS to record, and it was usually random, I always ended up recording a Texas show. And I'm from Texas. I still live here, so I just think it's funny that I have a lot of Texas shows recorded, but again, it's all, mere coincidence. But, either way, this was Thunder episode 5, and I want to say it was a pretty solid show. Again,
I would disagree.
Well, I guess it just depends how you look at it. Was this a disappointing show for you? Or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And there's a reason why I don't remember much of it, is because I think I was bored watching it this time. This is to date the to me anyways.
Right. It was the beginning of it becoming the B show.
The weakest Thunder show to date that we've done for the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I would say solid in the sense that, there was a lot of names on there, but I guess from a casual standpoint, if you're not watching the product, you won't know who they are. Obviously, we didn't have the Goldbergs, the Hulk Hogans, or the Stings anymore, but rather DDP and Chris Benoit, who were for the U.S. title, which was a mid card title, being the main event, and everybody else before that was guys like Disco Inferno, Saturn, even Marty Jannetty, who were all mid card or lower level tier wrestlers. So yeah, I totally agree. But again, like I said, I would describe this show as the first one of being where Thunder actually solidified itself as being the B show. And I think from here on moving forward, it just kind of continued that trend. Like Thunder wasn't as strong as it was from what we've already seen. It kind of had that Nitro feel to it, and now it just simply became, the show with Fog. So it's just it was a different vibe. But again, I did like the name power here. Yet matches, a lot of cruiserweight matches. Just yesterday, I was catching up and I saw the match between Billy Kidman going up against Juventud Guerrera. I thought that was a phenomenal match.
That one was Billy really good. I believe this was the match that got me into Billy Kidman as a kid.
Oh, that's awesome. Funny you mentioned that. I actually, I want to say the first match I saw Billy Kidman was just months prior on Saturday night. He wasn't part of Raven's Flock yet. And I noticed him right away, and he did the shooting star press, and I was just in awe. So after seeing him here, he had his new, 7-year itch gimmick going on where he doesn't take a bath. He hangs out with Raven's Flock. Funny gimmick, but man, the guy can perform. And I've always, I'll say it to this day, I think he still to this day did the best shooting star press I've ever seen. And he would do it on a weekly basis, even from Nitro to Thunder, sometimes even on Saturday night. This guy really was he could perform. And I think he's somebody that people have just forgotten about now that WCW isn't a thing anymore. But Billy
plus the way he was booked when the invasion was happening, that didn't help. Yeah. Oh God, I was devastated.
I don't even think people even remember that Billy Kidman was a part of the E during the invasion because of how they booked him. So it was disappointing,
dude. Because I was there, I do remember. I was like, when I was the same way when I saw Billy Kidman and as a 10-year-old see him do the shooting star press. I'm like, oh my God. And I followed him all throughout his time in WCW, and when I saw the invasion happening and how Billy Kidman was booked, I was devastated as a fan.
Yeah,
and God, that was the invasion in a nutshell, to be honest.
Yeah, man, like they just they didn't book him well. He suddenly became a joke. He got noticeably bigger. Like if WWE forced him to lift weights and do other things, so to speak. So I don't know.
Spend time on Sunday Night Heat with the other jobbers.
Yeah, I mean, it just he wasn't the same guy that we saw back in WCW. So that was a shame. But Billy Kidman, episode 5, his match against Juventud Guerrera is an excellent reminder that he was one hell of a performer. So I will give him that.
Yeah. The match before that was Jim Powers versus Goldberg. We know what happens.
Pass.
Yeah. The show opened up with the only way every show should open up, even in 2018. La Parka versus Hugh Morris. And La Parka, good God, I'm loving this guy more and more. I don't remember La Parka as a kid. I don't. I don't know what happened, Rad. He's just disappeared from my mind.
Oh man, and he had a lot of awesome moments and some goofy moments in WCW.
Yeah,
as you saw on this show as well.
Yeah,
getting on the chair and dancing, hilarious stuff.
Oh yeah, his throwing up the Dukes when Hugh Morris came at him. Like I love the personality. I definitely love him now. But as a kid, the Luchadors didn't care. Just never cared. Even Juventud, like barely. I knew him more because he faced off against more of my favorite guys a lot. So I knew of Juventud. But
Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho.
Exactly. Like I knew them, but like La Parka, Silver King, like all those guys, not at all.
El Dandy.
I think those were bathroom breaks every time for me, for sure. But yeah, Hugh Morris wins against La Parka, does his moonsault, a shit moonsault, I might add, because he basically lands on his own head doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, go on after the Billy Kidman match.
Yeah. So here we are, moving on. Get a promo from Diamond Dallas Page talking about how he's going to defend the U.S. title and has nothing but respect for Chris Benoit, and that's going to take place in the main event. Pretty much DDP is the people's champ.
Oh yeah.
Everybody in the crowd was behind him, but there was a lot
He
of
was
people.
he was my champ, that's for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah, one heck of a champ, man. But a lot of people also behind Chris Benoit, and you know what? I want to say I think they might have promoted this match, which is why I popped it in, because I thought Chris Benoit and DDP main eventing a TV show was pretty freaking cool.
Oh my god, I remembered that match so vividly. I didn't remember how it finished though. I was like, oh yeah, DDP, Chris Benoit, I love those guys. Canadian Crippler, DDP. I was throwing up diamond cutters when I was a kid all day.
Yeah.
I mean, he was my guy in WCW. That wasn't named Bret Hart.
There you go.
And we'll get to that main event. We'll get there.
Yeah, but DDP just came out, cut a promo. Then we went on to some more Lucha Libre action. It was a 6-man tag. I can't remember everybody involved, but I know Psychosis were there. You also had the Villanos. Pretty much, if you watched WCW at the time, you remember the Villanos. I think there was I don't know what their names were, Villanos 4, Villano 5, something like that.
Yeah.
Funny guys. They were, again, Lucha Libre stars from Mexico. So they just had a quick 6-man tag. Then we had a Nitro recap of Sting beating up the NWO in front of Hulk Hogan. I think he had the Scorpion Deathlock on Macho Man Randy Savage, and Hogan and Scott Hall just pretty much looked, or they watched from the outside. And that's another Nitro I remember very real well, because I have that one recorded as well. So this was, Bullet Club is fine 20 years before Bullet Club was even a thing. So they were really rocking that storyline. I liked it. Macho Man was the rebel and the true lone wolf of the NWO at the time. And this was the beginning of the whole Wolfpack thing. So that was really cool.
Heel
really
Macho
cool
Man, I tell you.
Yeah.
Macho Madness all day.
Macho Madness, the best. So we just had a recap of that. Then we had Buff Bagwell and Conan in tag team action of the NWO going up against the Steiners. I actually love this part because Buff Bagwell and Conan kind of went behind the stage to do a sneak attack on the Steiners, but at that very same moment, Dusty Rhodes went over to join commentary, and oh my god, this dude as part of the NWO and being a part of commentary was hilarious. It's you can tell he's just pissing off Tony Schiavone, and Bobby the Brain Heenan is just agreeing with everything Dusty Rhodes
he's egging him on hard.
Yeah. Oh man, hilarious stuff. I freaking love Dusty Rhodes as a heel, as part of the NWO on commentary. He would really bully these guys, and Bobby the Brain would just agree with everything he said. So good stuff.
Tony Schiavone, you best move over. Give me some extra space, or you're getting an elbow on top of your head.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's he just gets the mic on, and he's like, "Yo, Tony, did you miss me?" Tony Schiavone's just quiet. It's awesome stuff. So yeah, that was good stuff. You
like my Dusty Rhodes impression there?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the NWO sneak attack. The Steiners on the way to the ring. We kind of saw some brotherly solidarity from the Steiners for a while there, but then in the end, they're still continuing with the storyline where Scott Steiner, I think he got pissed about a botch that Rick had did, and his back hurt or something, so he was still pissed about it.
Scott Hall comes, he pushes Rick from the top rope into Scott, and Scott's like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, there you go. And I think Ted DiBiase was telling him, "No, it wasn't him. It was, So awesome storyline. Again, this is all leading up already to Super Brawl, so we'll get there down the road as we do more episodes of reviewing Thunder. Yeah. And then next up, I guess here was the match that you remembered. It was Marty Jannetty going up against Raven. I want to say this was Jannetty's second or third match already.
It was a second one. It was a rematch from the week prior.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had already been there. I remember seeing Jannetty in WCW, and I was actually kind of stoked about it because again, I also remembered him from The Rocker. So I was like, holy shit, it's Marty Jannetty. So it was cool to see him, but obviously this was just a filler match. Nothing really to see here or anything coming out of it.
I thought it was a good little match. It had some back and forth, but yeah, Raven wins again just via DDT. My poor Marty Jannetty just jobbing
poor
out.
Marty, man.
My God, poor Marty.
Yeah, and even then when I was seeing that, I understood. I just thought that he just deserved a lot better. But his time came in and had gone, and WCW at least had him a spot on Thunder. So,
Yeah, he had a spot. He wasn't jobbing out per se. He got some offense
exactly.
in.
This was Raven. It's not like if it was like Viano 4 or something,
Yeah.
So,
He's not on an episode of Main Event against Mike Kanellis.
There you go. So yeah, there we had a Marty Jannetty and Raven.
I do want to mention I was catching a lot during this match when the commentary. So Raven came out with through the entrance as opposed to just like being in the ring or hanging out in the crowd, which he did. And he has no music, but he does have a video playing of him on the screen, and he just kind of sits down and watches it for a little while.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he gets to the ring during the middle of the match when Raven's doing some some of his little hardcore spots. They're really pounding in on commentary. Raven has it written in his contract where every match is Raven rules, basically no DQ. Yeah. And then Tony Schiavone says the lines, and I quoted it. "He has tattoos all over his body. He's got a steel thing in his tongue and piercings. Raven is the oddest person you will ever meet in wrestling."
That's awesome.
Or ever meet and in wrestling. And then you have Heenan just kind of going, uh-huh. And then the match directly after this features Disco Infernal against Perry fucking Saturn. I'm like, okay. Raven is the oddest person you'll ever meet. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't going back to B matches, I didn't even bother with that. I just skipped it.
Oh my god. Disco Inferno versus Perry Saturn. Oh my god.
That doesn't look good on paper. Didn't look good on Thunder either.
It was. I was checked out at that match. As soon as Perry Saturn's music hit, I'm like, yep, I'm going to refill a drink. I'm gonna keep that going. So next,
my favorite part of the show, survey time with Scott Hall. He comes out with Louis Spicolli. Louis Spicolli still playing the role of being his lackey, holding his tag team belts.
Yeah.
Pretty much comes out, does a quick survey, and he starts talking about the Outsiders going up against the Steiners on Nitro for the tag belts. I'm noticing here on the agenda you put make Spicolli face Neidhart in his place. Was that on Nitro, or is that something I missed?
That was on Thunder.
Oh man, I missed that.
Yeah.
I might have accidentally skipped it, or I probably did something else.
Yeah,
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Spicolli comes out draped in tag belts, like a couple fake ones on top of it, and Scott Hall at the end.
Bulldog.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Scott Hall says at the end, Spicolli, you ready to carry me on your back or something? Spicolli's like, yeah.
Awesome.
And he goes, okay, good, you got Neidhart. And Neidhart comes out.
Oh,
so
shit.
Spicolli has to face Neidhart.
Yeah.
Very, very quick. Nothing happened other than quick DQ.
Scott Hall obviously interfered in the Bulldog
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and
okay,
then
I think I remember that, like back when I first saw it back in the day, but I think I skipped it this time around.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, and those are other two superstars that you saw come over from WWF, Jim Neidhart and British Bulldog. My opinion on that is that they weren't booked well either, but they did what they could do, and I was excited.
Well, if you read a bunch of stuff around that time, apparently, Neidhart was at the end of his career anyways, because he'd been wrestling
British
since.
Bulldog was still in his prime though.
Bulldog, as I've read Bret Hart's like autobiographies and everything, Bulldog in the late 90s was a mess. Drugs and what have you, and drinking, and yeah.
So they didn't have too much faith in I guess booking him as like a main event guy. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, because I was always confused by that. Because when he came out, I want to say he did his debut on Nitro. I was like excited. I was like, "Holy shit, British Bulldog now in WCW!" And like, I never saw anything happen with him. It didn't make sense to me because he had a lot of high caliber matches in the WWF.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, he was always with Bret. The most famous match between Bret and Bulldog would be at I want to say Wembley. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bulldog was, I think he was both high and drunk during that match, and Bret was so good he carried him.
Oh man, and the match still talked about to this day as being one of the greatest. So
yeah, I think that was the one where Bret said like he was he didn't even remember being there, and his WCW days were filled with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense then.
I think I
That's
have my facts
unfortunate.
straight on that. But I questioned it too as a kid. It's like, I love British Bulldog. I loved seeing him. He was always with Bret Hart, so naturally I loved him.
Yeah.
And I was watching.
Foundation.
I'd be watching WCW and be like, why isn't British Bulldog in? And then years and years and years later, I'm like, oh, British Bulldog had some skeleton in his closet. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All kind of makes sense now. Now in hindsight.
So, there you go. So that's, I guess, closing the Scott Hall, Louis Piccoli survey time moment.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was main event time. Diamond Dallas Page defending the U.S. Championship against Chris Benoit. This match was real good. Obviously, it was match of the night. I remember this may have been the reason why I recorded this match, and I still have it on VHS to this day. Because these two guys were workhorses. They were performers for WCW, and seeing them in the main event was something fresh. So I did like that. But obviously, this was just continuing the storyline of Raven's flock getting involved. Raven already had somewhat of a history with both DDP and Chris Benoit.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just kind of like a triangle type of thing going on. But after all, said and done, DDP pretty much clears house, can't leave the building without doing diamond cutters.
Never.
Yeah. And you have the show closing with DDP and Chris Benoit having kind of like a stare down, but like, a respect kind of thing, mutual respect for one another. And that's how the show closes. I don't know what your reactions were, JD, attending the show.
I was mad. I huge DDP fan. I was hyping the match up, going into it. And I had to ask my mom. I was like, Mom, how did I feel after that? And she goes, oh, you were pissed. I was like, do you remember why? She goes, it's because DDP didn't get the pin. The match was just over. And we had to leave.
That's so awesome, man. She has a good memory.
Yeah, she had a much better memory than... Well, I was 10, and when you're 10, you don't want to remember shit that pisses you off.
Right.
And I do remember being upset that I went to a Thunder. I just didn't remember, like, where and when and why. And
right.
And even after this, I was like... Because I was hyped up rewatching Thunder up to this. I'm like, all right, Benoit, DDP, up to it. And then to have the match be about 5 minutes and then just thrown away with Raven's flock. Cool character work, but Raven, but nothing happening. It was just they stared at each other down. They got a little bit of offense in, pretty even, and then match over, thrown out.
Yeah.
This is the kind of shit that annoys me on Raw every week when no match ever finishes. And this was the kind of shit that got people out of WCW with the NWO constantly going in and out and never having a match finish.
Right.
And I honestly don't think much happened on this Thunder.
No, I mean, if we look at it from that point of view, definitely a filler episode. Really nothing much here. And like I said, I want to say another thing going into this as a kid when I was watching this was that I want to say this was the first Thunder I actually recorded, because all the other Thunder episodes were explosive.
Right.
I was expecting the same thing, but it suddenly became clear to me that it was the B show. And like from here on out, moving forward, it just continued down that trend. Yeah.
Well, I hope in our next episode, in episode 10, first hitting double digits, that Thunder starts. Now that we're focusing on these new stars, these other stars, that more Raven, more DDP, more Benoit. I obviously I know that's where it's going.
Yeah, and it's obviously built up towards Super Brawl, which was a good pay-per-view in my opinion. I actually enjoyed that pay-per-view very much, so definitely looking forward to the storylines headed in.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good time for me just to run down the top wrestler rankings.
Take it away.
All right. So I'm going to start with the women and then work my way all to WWE. Shotzi Blackheart, 10. Sumi Sakai, 9. Madison Rayne, 8. Su Yung, 7. Nikki Cross, 6. 5. Kairi Sane. 4. Candice LeRae. 3. Allie. 2. Ivelisse. 1. Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, man, I love your list.
Yeah. Ivelisse has been killing it in Lucha Underground with Gift of the Gods title and the mixed tag matches. Candice LeRae is killing it in NXT. All the others.
Blackheart, man.
Yeah, it's.
I'm glad she made the list.
Well, she showed up in Impact and had two good matches showing.
Yeah.
She's making it go. 10 to the indie scene now. 10 Brian Cage, 9 Johnny Mundo, 8 Ilya Dragunov, 7 Zeus. I'm just giving him the respect he deserves for winning that big title finally. 6 Austin Aries, 5 Absolute Andy, 4 Sami Callihan, 3 Pentagon, 2 Kento Miyahara, 1 Bobby Guns. I if you know me, I don't think that should come as to any surprise.
No, not at all. I wouldn't have expected anything else.
Puts on a good singles match, puts on great promos, and wins the Rumble. I mean, come on. I think it goes without saying on that. And then basically the big performers of the G1. This is definitely gonna probably have different reactions out of everybody. But 10, I got Hangman Page. 9, Zack Sabre Jr., 8, Tanahashi, 7, Jay White, 6, Ibushi, 5, Goto, 4, Okada. Someone I didn't really talk a lot about as we were going through the G1. His
character development.
Other than the character work, but he has carried A-Block on his back. If there's been a good match in A-Block, you can guarantee Okada's involved in some way.
Yeah.
3 Ishii, 2 Naito, 1 Omega. I don't think those top 3 are in any doubt.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And then WWE. This is where it got hard. 10 Drew McIntyre, 9 TJ Perkins, 8 Itami, 7 Drew Gulak, 6 Mustafa Ali, 5 Pete Dunne. Basically because.
Okay, yeah, I'm noticing cruiserweights in UK here.
Yeah. 4 Almas, 3 Rusev, 2 Black, 1 Ciampa.
Okay, I like Ciampa at the top.
Yeah. That was a fucking difficult top 10 I had to make, because I was like, I honestly only wanted to put Ciampa on Black and give no one else any points.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, if it gets to the point where you're like disappointed in the product, don't even mention other names. You don't have to fill them out.
Yeah, well, I was
like a top 2.
I mean, it was 205 Live. I mean, that's what's more or less impressing me, because NXT hasn't really had matches that have impressed me too much, other than the triple threat that the women showed. And then lots of 205 Live, just putting on solid matches. So I was like, okay, what was the most solid? And then anything else from like Raw and SmackDown has been focused on McIntyre, Ziggler, and Rollins, and McIntyre's the ploy there. So that's the reasoning there. And then Pete Dunne, just because I've seen his work in the Indies, you know, and I was. Yeah, so that pretty much does that. And then Rusev and Almas had a good match on SmackDown.
Well, I guess for the next cast, I'm looking forward to the top 10 women, because it'll be coming off of some progress that we're making in the recently taking place Mae Young Classic. So I guess we'll see how that goes.
Oh, well, that doesn't air until September, so it won't involve
that's right. Okay.
Yeah, it won't involve the Mae Young Classic girls, but it will involve the showing from Beyond Wrestling in that event.
The one you're attending?
Yeah, the one I'm attending. It will.
Oh,
it
nice,
should.
okay.
It should. I think will. Well, maybe it won't be in time for that. Maybe.
Or maybe the next cast.
Yeah, the next cast. Maybe it'll be Mae Young, and I don't know. We'll see.
Gotta get Santana Garrett on there.
I think she's gonna make the list easily. You gotta remind me. I gotta go get a picture with her.
Yeah, you have to, man.
Yeah, Wonder Woman herself. So yeah, this has been episode 9 of the Wrestlecast. Rad, thank you for joining me. Go check him out on his YouTube page. Everything you need is in the description below for the episode. And if you've enjoyed this episode, go hit us up on iTunes or Stitcher Smart Radio, and leave us a 5-star review, obviously. And I love the criticism. Go follow us all on the Twitters and the Instagrams and everything. We'll look forward to seeing you next time. There we go.
All right, I hit stop.
Oh.
Good episode.
Good pace. Good pace. Under 3 hours. That's what matters to me.
Yeah.
And we got to spend more time on Thunder, which was more fun. Know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually liked the stories that we discussed on Thunder, and I kind of like how we highlighted Macho Man. I think, as you mentioned, we definitely got to do another 2 matches for the guy.
Oh
Definitely down the road.
no! I've just been tagged. Nixon Newell just suffered a serious injury against Rhea Ripley tonight.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh man, that sucks. That's legit?
The X symbol was thrown up during the match and it was completely stopped.
Oh no, yeah, that's real.
Oh.
Man, just when she came back.
She just came back from ACL. Yeah. Oh. She's even been off Progress shows. Even with the slightest tweak. Fuck.
Yeah, that really sucks. Bummer. I wonder if it's something Rhea Ripley did, or it was just like
I don't know. Oh fuck. I don't even know if that's gonna. Would that even air?
Yeah, I think it would, but they're probably gonna like maybe fix it where they're not gonna show like the X being thrown and all that stuff, and then just mention that she was injured or something.
Broken leg.
Oh, yeah. No, she's gonna be out for a long time.
People are saying they could hear the break and then her scream in agony, and then later in frustration.
Oh man, poor girl. Yeah, I think she knows. Like, dude,
The second
really sucks.
straight Mae Young, because she didn't even make it to the. She was in it,
she got
and then
injured
in
before it
training
stopped.
she injured the ACL. She tore the ACL before it was even going to tape, like a week before tapings. And I think they had Mercedes Martinez actually take her place, if memory serves. And
So
now
that's
she
actually
broke her leg. Oh, fuck. That is such bad luck.
That's at least another year.
Oh my god. Oh, I can't. I don't. Oh my god, Rad. That's devastating to me.
Yeah, it is. I was actually looking forward to seeing her shine in this tournament.
I know. I mean, outside of not picking, the Io Shirai or what are some other big names in there? Tony Storm. It's Nixon Newell, man.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess that's I don't know. I think you're a fan of hers. I'm a fan of hers as well. I think maybe this is a topic we should discuss on the next cast.
yeah, gonna have to remember that.
Because now I feel like if the tournament has been affected by it, so
the way I look at it is devastating, because she was the one I was looking forward to the most, probably, besides Io Shirai. But I've seen Io Shirai wrestle countless times.
Right.
Newell's so young and promising, and
yeah, same here, man. I mean, even when I was just getting into independent wrestling, like the way I am, now, it started in What Culture, Defiant, and that's where I saw a lot of her work. So I was a fan of hers, since. It's kind of sad to hear that this happened.
Oh my god. My mind can't even like wrap acceptance around that.
So I'm thinking Rhea Ripley is going to advance via no contest.
It has to, right?
Yeah, I mean, because they can't really just stop it and have her face somebody else, so they'll just consider Nixon eliminated.
It'd be similar to what happened with Jordan Devlin against Danny Burch in the UK tournament from way back when Burch's like head got super busted open and then Devlin ended up winning.
Yeah.
And they had that quick finish. Oh. Man, my good mood was immediately
Yep. I know.
immediately
It's like
just taken out of me.
such a good episode, and then to top it off with that bad news.
Damn it. Damn it, damn it. Poor Newell. I want to give her flowers.
You probably
Send her
can.
flowers.
I'm pretty sure she has sort of fan mail address or something.
Yeah.
She deserves it.
All right, so who's our... so, progress shows are going to be in the next episode for sure. SummerSlam, obviously. We'll be complaining about that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You could hear
so
my
we'll
frustration in the
about that.
booking that's been going on.
When is our next episode? Because September 1st is All In, so that's probably definitely going to be a topic.
Well, SummerSlam is the weekend, is the 20... I thought it was the 26th, wasn't it?
Or 18.
Or
I think
is it
it's
the
like
19th?
the 20th or 21st, something like that.
It's
I
the
know
19th.
It's 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's the 19th, so we'll probably do it the week of SummerSlam. So the 20th through the 24th will be the next episode. So it'll be progress shows. Evolve if there's anything worth talking about. I guess the Strickland Matt Riddle match is the only one worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The finish of the G1 and SummerSlam.
Okay.
So those 4 things. And then obviously Thunder. And then the next episode after that one, episode 11, will be All In, Beyond Wrestling, Mae Young, if it's even airing at the time. So, yeah. Cool. Send me the file when you can.
Yeah, we'll do. Sending it over now, so you should get it within the next 30 minutes.
Excellent. Excellent. Oh, I'm in such a bad mood now. I'm gonna...
Yep.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it when my favorite wrestlers get injured.
Yeah.
God damn.